sun cloud?
Where are the spirals?
You see this math everywhere.
Welcome back to Gnostic Informant, and you are about to attain true gnosis. And today we're going to dig deep into at least the Bronze Age, but I actually posed a question in the title. Does Homer / HESIOD know of Neolithic mythologies and legends? We're going to see. I don't think we can actually answer that definitively, but it's an interesting thought because we can go back, we can confirm he knows Bronze Age, possibly Copper Age. I would even say most likely Copper Age. I think we can go that far, at least. The Neolithic might be a little bit tougher, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's that out of the question. And with me today is Mukunda, who's been here
What up?
a few times. What's going on, dude?
Good. How are you doing, man?
What do you think about that question? It's a big question. It's reaching high, but what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I think it does. I mean, if you think about, if you can take that Indo-European, goes back pretty far back in time, I think these ideas are definitely there, right? Like, I think they're persistent through Indo-Iranic, Tocharian, the Etruscans, maybe even the Hittites, the Anatolian branches. It's there. So, and I think we trace it back there.
And I think one of the questions, because Homer, there's been a lot of written papers on Homer, his Iliad, and how much is he borrowing from Near Eastern myths, which is fair. Like, there's a lot of parallels between the Iliad and, for example, the destruction of the city of Alalak, which is a Syrian city. And like, does that mean Troy didn't happen? No, but it also could explain they're telling the story of this destruction of Troy by using mimesis of another story of the destruction of this Syrian city that was part of the Hittite Empire. And there's been papers written on this. Maria Bach-Varova wrote a paper on Homer's dependence on a story called the Song of Release. It's a Hurrian myth, and it's also heavily it's also heavily like mimicked in Ugaritic and Syrian Bronze Age and Hittite literature. There's also parallels to the Sargonic epics, Sargon of Akkad, the first Semitic ruler of Babylon, and his conquering, as like she thinks that Achilles has a lot of parallels with him. So there's a lot going on with Homer and the Bronze Age. But I'm trying to go even farther back because this is the city. I'm just going to show you that this.
Well, you kind of have to go farther back if you look at Indo-European motifs, because I mean, by the time the Greeks and let's say the Indo-Iranics separated, it was probably well into 3000, maybe even close to 3500 BCE, which is late Neolithic, early Bronze.
Yeah, because when you start to see stuff like this motif of the seven-headed serpent, right? And you can find this everywhere. There's some sort of version of the seven-headed serpent in I don't know, myths in like, the Nordic, Germanic realm. And then you find them in Sumer, in some of the oldest poems that we have that survive, like this one right here, The Return of Ninurta to Nippur. And this is pre-Sargonic, pre-Akkadian. I know they translated it into Akkadian during the second millennium, as it says right here, but it's an original Sumerian epic, which means it's pre-Semitic, it's local Sumerian mythology. But then it's like, wait a minute, are the Sumerians influencing everyone in the world? Is that really likely? Or did they borrow this myth from their northern neighbors who are borrowing it from somebody who are borrowing, maybe there's a different chain of custody, I guess, is that the word? A chain of borrowing going on. I'm trying to ask that question.
Well, I think there's a lot of, I think we misunderstand or view the ancient world. There was deep ties across, like in the Sumerian Empire had deep connections to, let's say, the Indus Valley civilization. In fact, you find lapis lazuli in Sumeria, which is really mined in the Indus Valley world. And they were probably trading with the various tribes of the Indo-Europeans that were in different places all across the world at that time, or the known world. So I wouldn't put it past that there was a lot of cultural intermixture and things going back and forth at that time. And it's difficult to figure out
the name of that civilization that was, what is it called? It's like right before India.
You could say Indus Valley Harappan.
Harappan, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that Harappan culture, which I don't know, that could be one of the major players in this conversation that we're having right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Sumerians called that civilization Mehulla.
Yes. They definitely knew about it for sure. This is it right here, right? Harappa?
Yeah, well, that's just one city, by the way. So the entire civilization was the largest civilization in that ancient world. Yeah, if you just go to that Harappan civilization, you'll see like how far
this is the big one. Okay,
right. It covers all the way up to the north.
And this is where the Aryans end up. This is where the Aryans end up.
Yeah,
here. So they come out from the steppe, the Eurasian steppe, and they move in this direction.
Right.
And so then that muddies the waters, because then you're like, they have their local customs and cultures and myths. How much of it is their local? How much of it are they borrowing from the greater world beyond?
Yeah, there seems to be
factors is what I'm trying to get at. There's so many factors.
Yeah, and there's a lot of in the Sumerian civilization, you find a lot of artifacts and items from Indus Valley. You find some in the Indus Valley civilization from the Sumerian, but it seems like cultural effusion or a trade happened more from that region to the Sumerian region.
Yeah, because this is basically almost Copper Age we're talking. It says Bronze Age, but like, what is it, 3,500? Is that the beginning of the Bronze Age? So
yeah, the dates are
yeah, it depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
So then I guess Neolithic would just be what, 5,000 before 5,000?
They would say like 4,000, 5,000, somewhere around there. So like, but they would also call like 3,500 BCE to be like late Neolithic, early Bronze or Copper.
I've heard people even say like bronze starts in like 2,500 BC or something.
Yeah.
Like they have different estimates based on where you're at or whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because the Indus Valley did have iron around 1700 BCE.
So did the Hittites.
Yeah.
The Hittites were the first to really they didn't like make a lot of standardized weapons with it, but if you were like somebody with a lot of wealth, you can get yourself an iron weapon.
Yeah.
By like a super intelligent smith that knew what they were doing. But like, yeah, the point I'm making is iron did not just come out of nowhere in the iron.
No.
it was a long process, but it's only because of it costs more, I think, right?
Yeah, and you have to have a certain various types of different minerals you got to put together to create iron, right? It's just not like iron ore by itself.
Right. So there's this article that I want people to see real quick. I think this is it right here. Yeah. So this is from this. I keep running into this scholar.
Oh yeah.
Arnaud Fournette, and he's talking about the Mitanni Aryan gods.
Mhm.
You and I have talked about this before, but I'm going to bring it back up again. And he says a number of Indo-Aryan sounding words have been identified in the cuneiform documents of the Mitanni kingdom, 1500 to 1200. So we're in the late Bronze Age.
Yeah.
In addition to nouns and adjectives with parallels in Sanskrit, and this Hurrian-speaking kingdom had kings with Indo-Aryan names, and 2 documents even list the main gods of the Indian pantheon. The article analyzes and tries to explain the phonetic differences between Indian and Mitanni Aryan gods. So let's just go ahead a little bit, move up a little bit. It says one of the, I'm just looking for one of the quotes here. Oh, right here you have Aham Mitra Varuna.
That's Sanskrit. So I am Mitra Varuna, Bibhabari, Aham Indragni, I am Indranagni, Aham Ashvina, Ubha. So Ubha means both. So I am both these deities, right? So Mitra Varuna are usually cognates. Not cognates, but they're also bound together.
Yeah.
What we called in Sanskrit as a dvanda, which means a dual class of gods that are associated with each other. And
Right.
Indra and Agni also associated. And Ashvinas by themselves are two horsemen, kind of like your Castor and Pollux and
Twins, the twins.
the Dioscorids.
That's another one. That twin, the twin sons of the storm god, that seems to be very ancient. That seems to be, you find that ubiquitous as soon as you find writing anywhere. There's always a twin gods who are the sons of the storm god, or maybe not the storm god. Sometimes some sort of sky god, or something related to that.
Yeah, the Ashvins are connected to usually the sun. They're descendant of yeah.
Makes sense, right? So then it says, what else does he say? Then so this is written in cuneiform, by the way. I just want people to realize, like, this is, cuneiform doesn't mean it's just going to be Akkadian or Sumerian. It can be anything. You could write anything in cuneiform. You can write English in cuneiform. It would just be weird, but you can. And it says Kurda, Anu, Antu, and Lil, and then Ninlil. So I think what's going on here is this particular tablet says this section is recognized to be Akkadian. This side is Akkadian. With a number of sumerograms, especially thanks to the particle sa. So it's a translation going on here. Is that what this is? They're translating the Hittite source, Aryan source, I should say, into Akkadian.
Yeah. This paper, I think I read a long time ago. I forget when it came out. It was like 2007 or something.
I think so. Yeah, that might be what it says here. Maybe it's in the back.
2010, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is very fascinating find though.
Yeah.
And it shows you that there was an Aryan cultural presence in the Middle East and in the late Bronze Age, before Homer, before the Greeks, before, like, that was a thing going on. That's pretty interesting to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that the closest next place that these Aryans was in Iran and India, and that's separated by like 1,000 miles.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, and then you go in the other direction. You got the Hittites.
Well, the Hittites are right next to the Mitannis, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The other direction, going west. You got
yeah.
And then the Hittites are bordering the Trojans and the Ionians, and then the Greeks.
Right.
We're only a few cultures away from the Greeks already.
Yeah, and Hittite is the branch of Indo-European called Anatolian, which now many linguists would say is like one of the oldest branches. I have some thoughts on this, but that's neither here or there right now.
You can tell. I would like to hear what you think.
No, I think the Hittite actually doesn't preserve as much Indo-European as you find in Sanskrit, just because I think Hittite had way more influence from local Sumerian, and Semitic languages. Like the laryngeals are, I think
that's true. That's definitely true.
Right. And they just didn't preserve it as well. They actually lose quite a bit of their, so Sanskrit, interesting enough, is one of the only, I think there might be one other one that has all 3 forms of first person, second person, dual, and one person, dual, and plural, And then they have all 8 declensions, which is, instrumental, or let's start with nominative, accusative, instrumental, ablative, genitive, vocative, and I forgot the other one. But yeah, it has all 8 declensions. So if you look at Greek, you have like sometimes dual's not there, or they sometimes, I don't think they have ablative.
No, Greek doesn't have ablative. Dual
Yeah.
is very rare, and it's dropped off by the biblical
Yeah.
period. But yeah, for the most part, it follows that scheme.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that way but which might be the case that the Rig Veda was just preserved much better for much longer.
Mm.
Right here, like
this right here, Mitra Asil.
Yeah, that I don't know what Asil is, but Mithra is obviously a name of the god. Aruna is the name of the sun, as the charioteer of the sun.
Indra.
Indira, yeah, that's how they spell it there, but it's Indra. And then Nasatheya is the Ashwins, or the horsemen.
Wow. So here's a nice little transliteration for you. Yeah. That's wow. And so these deities are all the way over here, instead of being over in India, and also hundreds of years before. When do you start actually getting Sanskrit text?
You mean manuscripts?
Yeah. Like what's the oldest, like we can point to that's physical that we can?
I think the oldest one we have in existence as a manuscript, something like 4th or 5th century CE. But
oh wow.
But there's quite a bit of
What inscriptions? How about that?
Inscriptions going back to like 4th or 5th. They're written in a language. Either actually, it's funny. Some of them are written in Aramaic, or using the script of Aramaic script.
That's where they bought it from. That's where they got it from.
Well, I mean, there's some theories on this, because some people do say it might be Phoenician related and came down that way, or it might have developed separately on its own. So there's some scholarly debate on that.
Yeah, because if you look at the oldest version of Sanskrit, what is it called, like Brahmin or something, or
Brahmi is the oldest script that we have.
You can see how it looks similar to like Phoenician or / Aramaic. You can see like certain characters. They definitely went in their own direction, though. They definitely didn't. They didn't adopt the script as is like the Greeks did. The Greeks kept most of it how it is. That is not the same at all. This is very different. But you can see the leading this is disputed, but the leading theory, Aramaic, and that would make sense because you have the Persians that are writing in Aramaic, and they're all the way over in that region, right?
Right.
So that's probably where they think of that. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic, though. But I did want to get into some of the things that we can look at in Homer and Hesiod. I want to start with Hesiod and go to Homer next. If you don't mind, I just want to go show people what he says in his Theogony, and then maybe you might have some parallels on this.
Sure.
I didn't even ask you about this one yet, but it doesn't matter. So the first one is this one right here. So Theogony is one of the oldest Greek texts that survives, probably the second oldest, next to Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. Anyways, you have this is like a big genealogy of the gods, basically, and he says, Ocean's daughter begot 3-headed Geryoneus, who was slain by Heracles' force besides his rolling-footed cattle in a sea-girt Erythia. And by the way, Heracles reminds me a lot of Karna. Do you get that parallel? Or no?
Heracles, no. Achilles, I think, is much closer to Karna.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Achilles and Karna. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. All right. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. And Erythia, on one day, he drove the broad-browed cattle to holy Tiryns after he crossed over the strait of the ocean and killed Orthus and the cowherd Erytion in the murky stable beyond glory's ocean. This is very primordial, very ancient, sort of like wacky in a way. Like, what? That happened? Like, not really. You can just kind of feel this is an old myth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. And he says, they say that Typhon, terrible, outrageous, lawless, mingled in love with a quick-eyed virgin, and she became pregnant and bore strong-hearted children. First she bore Orthus, the dog, for Geryoneus second. She then gave birth to something intractable, unspeakable, Cerberus, who eats raw flesh, the bronze-voiced dog of Hades, which is a lot like what's it called? What's that the blue underworld deity?
In Vedic?
Yeah, Yama, right?
Yeah, Yama.
Yama, yeah. 50-headed. This is another thing. These big 50-headed gods, you find that a lot in Hinduism, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Ruthless and mighty, third, and then she gave birth to the evil-minded Hydra of Lerna. That's the 7-headed Hydra, which the goddess, white-armed Hera, raised, immense, wrathful against Heracles' force. But Zeus's son, the scion of Amphitryon, Heracles, slew it with the pitiless bronze, together with warlike Iolaus by the plans of Athena, a leader of the war host. Now there's so much going on in that couple paragraphs. There's so many parallel myths to the couple of sentences I just read. There's like 50 myths that you can find that are in some way parallel to that. The 50-headed gods, the 7-headed Hydra. These are all very extremely ancient myths, and Hesiod's just throwing them all together into one story.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the heads go back pretty ancient, but other times they change based on the culture they're in, right? So like 50-headed, it doesn't play as big in like the Vedic world, but 1,000-headed does, 100-headed.
Well, that's what I meant
yeah,
to say.
yeah.
Multi-headed. We can
exactly.
a specific number.
Yeah.
But the idea of these multi-headed deities that are in the beginning, in the primordial times, that's something we find a lot in a lot of different cultures. A lot of different traditions have that.
Right.
Which makes me think we're talking Neolithic now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it stems from there. Yeah, absolutely. That there must be elements because I mean, the various heads probably represent some sort of like infinity or something of that nature, and then the hands represent like different. Like in the Hindu tradition, you'd have the hands possess different like weapons, and each weapon is connected to like a theological or cosmological significance. Which I imagine the Greeks also had.
Yeah. So I made a list real quick. I just want to get your thoughts on this. I was making a list of like parallels between Greek and Hindu gods, right?
Yeah.
And you have Indra and Zeus.
Mhm.
You know, they're both wielding the thunderbolt. There's the sky gods. They're they give the rain, that type of thing. Storm gods. And then I thought Varuna is a lot like Poseidon.
No, Varuna's so maybe later over time he becomes more like Poseidon, but in the Vedic he is so the Vedic world breaks it down to Indra is like the local god, the god of the Aryas in their wars time state. Varuna is the moral god. He's the god that exists ensuring that contracts and alliances are not broken, that his moral law is not transgressed. He is associated with water, but not like human water. It's the cosmic water of in which all the universe sits in. And then later on, he does become connected to just the ocean, the way Poseidon does.
Yeah.
But Zeus in that context and Indra share a lot too. I mean, Zeus kills his father Kronos, whereas Indra in one of the myths or one of the stories in the Rig Veda, defeats his father Deus, which is the cognate of Zeus.
Zeus, yeah. And then wait, but what you said, that's Varuna?
No, Indra.
Indra.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're two different Zeuses then, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's the Sky Lord who Deus means that Deus in some sense is almost connected to the Ouranos in that context, right?
Ouranos means sky.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
So Deus is connected to
Zeus
Ouranos.
means sky in Indo-European.
Right.
It's almost like they're just two different versions of Zeus that just kind of got kind of brought in together into some sort of succession myth where you have Uranus as a sky god, gives birth to the chthonic Saturn, Kronos, I should say.
Yeah.
He gives birth to another sky god,
Yeah.
Zeus, who gives birth to another chthonic god, Dionysus. And there's like back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like that's something weird with that going on. But yeah, that's that. Okay, the other one that I wanted to that I was thinking about was Yama and Hades.
Yeah, that's
A lot going on there between those.
yeah.
Two.
I don't know how connected they are because Yama is considered well, there's two different myths on this. One, he's the first human that passed and became the lord of the underworld or lord of death in that sense. But he's also the son of the sun. And in that context, he's not necessarily connected to hell or the underworld in the same way that Hades is. Yama's connected. He's like a psychopomp slash the guardian or the upholder of dharma. So he enforces dharma in the universal sense.
Yeah. That's interesting because Hades he is sort of a judge in the underworld.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I forgot
There's
that.
a lot
Yeah.
of law aspects to him, legalistic aspects to him because he's judging the dead and even like there's even some old epithets about Hades who all will see.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Lord Hades, who all will see one day. So I don't know if that might be a pretty interesting parallel between those two in that sense. Obviously, then you have Helios / Apollo.
Yeah.
And I want to say that because you hear this a lot. People will say Apollo had nothing to do with the sun until way later. That's not actually true. You can find some classical 6th century BC, 5th century BC texts that link Apollo to the sun. Not saying that he is the sun, but he has solar sort of things going on pretty early on. I could probably look that up in a second and try to show people what I mean by that. But obviously Helios is the sun. It's the same word for sun, Helios.
Right.
And then you have Surya, which I believe is the same word for sun too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple words for sun in Vedic language. For example, Surya is one, Aditya is another. Deva can also refer to the sun. Arka means the sun. There's like 100 words for the sun. There's actually entire like this part of the Ramayana called the Aditya Hridayam, which means the heart of the sun. And it goes through like all these names of the sun, like Bhaskara, the one who gives light. I think the Helios connection. I'll have to see exactly what, because Helios might not even be. Is it actually Greek or is it a loan word into Greek?
The word Helios.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Helios etymology. Let's see if we can pull that up right now. It's from Proto-Indo-European Sewal.
Sewal. Okay, so that's where you get Surya. So okay.
Oh, so they have this. They share the same root. I didn't. So there they go. They're the same kind of thing going on. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's similar to I think how like
That's
for
where
example,
the word soul comes from too. Soul.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In the Western tradition, yeah.
I guess the "sa" just becomes a "h" somehow. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of those weird things going on in Indo-European. That does happen quite often, actually, where certain sounds get like converted into a different sound completely. You ever notice that?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It is like, for example, like it's interesting when you look at even the word like, eudaimonia, right? Where you talk about joy or whatever. The cognate there in Sanskrit would be sva or su versus u, right?
Like
So
Soma and Haoma.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but this is interesting because in Sanskrit, if you were to say good mind, you say sumana, or if it goes into, for example, oneself in that also context, you get swamana. So swa also represents good, right? Swastika, the swastika as you call it is actually su-astika. It becomes swastika.
So it's a solar symbol.
Yes.
Oh wow, that makes a lot of sense actually. Sva, like Sva, yeah. But you can see right here it has the Greek noun helios from, and it's got that digamma awelios or
Yeah.
hawelios because it's got a rough breathing. Hawelios is an inherited word for the sun from Proto-Indo-European Seuel, which is where you get Latin sol, Sanskrit Surya. And yeah, and by the way,
So
this sa and ha is more common than people think.
right, and even Avistan hover, that's similar to uh, the word savitar, which is also similar to that.
Yeah. That's crazy. The sun, man. The sun is obviously going to be there in the beginning. It's the biggest thing in the sky, you know.
Yeah. It's the reason he's called the living God, right? He's always present. The eternal witness is also what they call him in Sanskrit, the one who sees all.
That's what they call. That's what Helios is called in Homer.
Yeah.
All-seeing Helios.
Yeah.
All-seeing. He's
Again, there's that Indo-European connection.
Yeah, and he's the only one who sees certain things that happens. Like, for example, when Persephone gets abducted by Hades,
Mhm.
it says in the myth that only Helios was able to see that. But of course, Helios is the only one to see that. He's the
Yeah.
only.
Because the entire universe is under his watchful eye.
Yeah, so Demeter has to go to Helios to ask what happened, and then he tells her, and then she goes to Zeus, and then the whole story happens. But anyways, yeah, that's all seeing, and then but then you find that in Egypt, which is not completely broken. I mean, like that's where this really gets tricky. When you start to find these parallels in Egyptian mythology,
Yeah.
it's like, how far back does this shit go?
Yeah. I mean,
or
that's
is it just people in Egypt witnessing the same cosmic things and writing it down and attributing to the sun? That's a whole nother thing that's possible.
right.
You know?
Right. I mean,
Anyway.
they're all seeing the same phenomenon. The phenomenon has similar qualities wherever you are. It feels the same so many wherever you are. So I could absolutely see that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you or everybody who I brought up the sun, the or Apollo. People like, that's the Apollonian sun thing. That's way later. It's not. This is Aeschylus. He goes all the way back to the 6th and 5th century BC. Some of his plays are 6th century BC. I don't know about this one. This might be 5th century BC.
Yeah,
467. 467. So, first half of this 5th century BC, and I think it says if I just do a word search for Apollo, it should come up. Where is it? Here, right here. This is it. So it says, what else but suffering and a resident in the house, friends, the wind of lamentation in your sails, ply and accompaniment with a regular beating of hands on head, which is forever crossing the Acheron, propelling on sacred mission from which there is no return. So we're talking about the underworld. The black-sailed ship on which Apollo Pion never treads. And then it says, and the sun never shines. But there is, so you could see there is a link there, though. Now there is a separation too. That's fair. So it's because if we actually look at the Greek, it says right here. It says, where is Apollo on here?
Right here. Oh, you can't see my hand, but yeah, right there.
Where is it?
Down.
The last two lines right here. Is it? Let's see. Pandoke. No, that's not it. That's not. Pion. Oh, it just has his epithet.
Yeah,
so it's just his epithet. But that's still him. So the translator added the word Apollo here. That's fine because we know who Pion is. And but no, it doesn't say sun. It just says where Pion never shines. So whoever wrote this purposely wanted to add the sun. There's nothing about the sun here. It says tan analion, pandokon ace afane, and this is right here. So it just says where Pion never I guess this would be, this isn't shine though. This is something else. So this would be let's see, what does this mean? This is on alone would be, I'm just gonna make sure I get this right. Analion would be sunless, devoid of light. Yeah. So
Okay.
it actually says, so this is a bad translation. Boo this translation. They added a whole nother line. It's not there. This is not there. It doesn't say and the sun doesn't shine. It just says where Pion, where Apollo doesn't give his light. So it's literally giving you a solar Apollo in the 5th century BC, early 5th century BC. So just in case, I just wanted to show people that, because you hear this all the time, and I want at least the people watching me, at least now you guys know, and you can start pushing back on that. Be like, hey, hold on a second. What do you mean? There's no solar Apollo till later. Here's I know about Aeschylus. I learned from Gnostic Informant and Mukunda. You can push back on that. So, there's a couple super chats. Let's just see what we got here. We got Martyr's Prayer. Thank you for the 2. Wasn't the Elot tribe a big part of trade in the East? Do you know
Elot tribe.
I'm not
What
really
is?
sure what he means by that.
Does it mean Elamite?
Maybe. Elot tribe?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Elot, most famously a biblical port city. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Thank you for the super chat, though. I appreciate you. I'm not sure. S. Mills still, thank you for the 5. Are you familiar with Dr. Linny
Srinivasa.
Okay. And Introduction to the Near Eastern Deities in the Rig Veda.
I have read her. I think she has an academia article I read a while back. I think it's French. So she makes weird connections based on her Bengali language rather than she does on Sanskrit connected to the Near East. I mean, it didn't make sense to me.
All right, there you go. S. Mill, that's his thoughts. I never read it, so I can't say, but I'll take your word for it. Thank you, S. Mill. Good to see you, by the way. Right, Regina Waldez, thank you for the $10. Thank you very, very much. Zeus and Dias are mostly etymological cognates. Dios is like Uranos, the firmament deified. You brought that up as well. Deus, coming from to mean firmament, is unique to
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit Zeus is the
Sanskrit, and Zeus is the oath assembly god, like Tyr or Lu.
Zeus is the oath/assembly god, like Tyr, Lu. I agree 100%. I think that makes a lot of sense. Which whatever, yeah.
I mean, it's also different because in the Vedic tradition, you have classes of gods. So you have the 8 Vasus representing, like, say, the directions, or also representing beings, which the use is one of them. And then you have 12 Adityas, who are solar deities, the gods of the atmosphere. And then you have Rudra, or the 11 Rudras, who represent, or actually the Adityas are celestial, and Rudras are the atmospheric gods, like the wind, storm, rain, so on and so forth. So those would be like, so Indra is technically classified as an Aditya, as a celestial god, where Shiva is also Rudra. He has 11 forms or names, including like Bhava, Sattva. There's a bunch of those. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Thank you, Regina. I hope I got that right. Well, that's a really interesting point, because it is a very interesting thing that Hesiod includes both of these deities, Uranos and Zeus, and when you do some digging, you start to see that they might be the same deity being kind of put together into. That's not the first time that happens, though. Stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that with El and Yahweh, and
El and Yahweh, yeah. El and Yahweh and Adonai and all these deities that get rolled up together. What else? I'm trying to think, and the different balls and stuff like that. There's the Philo of Biblos Theogony. It's doing the same thing. It's taking all these local legends and myths that might have already been borrowing from each other, but then he rolls them into one story. This is what Hesiod's doing. Hesiod's writing a unified epic of all the culture that's in his day. He's probably a scholar that knows about all these myths, or what the closest thing you're going to find to a scholar 8th century, and he's probably putting them all together and sewing it all up into one epic,
Yeah.
one theological story,
But Homer does that too, and so does all. I think all the ancient writers at some level are taking all these disparate myths and trying to create a single tapestry in which they can be like, this is what happened, or this is what it all is.
Enuma Elish is a lot like that too, I would say. I think some of the Akkadian epics are like that, where you start finding all these different older myths that are Sumerian or whatever, getting rewritten and retold in Akkadian for a new audience. So this is kind of just how things are done. Which is fascinating to see that, and that's how they preserve the culture too, by retelling it, all that stuff.
I mean, we have at least in the Indic world, at least 4,000 years of that happening consistently. There's retelling of the same story in different language, or then they add more to it and embellish upon it. It's pretty cool.
Or it gets relocalized for a different.
Yeah,
city.
exactly. Yeah,
that's another thing. So Homer, the famous first line, it's the wrath sing, goddess of Peleus' son Achilles, the accursed wrath. Now, what I just read right there, I'll just stop right there because that's the first line. You said there's something there that's parallel to what you find.
Yeah. To Karna, in the Mahabharata, right? So there's a scholar. He passed away a few years ago, and I wish I had the chance to talk to him. His name is Dr. Kevin McGrath. He was at Harvard, and he studied both the Homeric epics and then the Mahabharata. And he made such a strong argument for the fact that Achilles is more connected to Karna because they sit out the war because of their wrath and their desire for glory, and they've been offended. Where in Achilles has been offended by Agamemnon by taking away Briseis and all that, but Karna's offended by Bhishma in the Mahabharata because Bhishma calls him not even. So there's gradations of warrior. He calls him the lowest class. He's like, you're not fit to fight Arjuna. You're not competent. So Karna in his anger says, as long as this man remains on the battlefield, Bhishma, I will not step in and fight. So for basically 13 days, Karna does not enter the battlefield. Or 11 days, 11 days. Yeah. So
who would you say Bhishma is most like in the Iliad?
So it's interesting. I don't. So Bhishma is a really interesting. Maybe Nestor, but because Nestor is like this wise, guide. He's like always set on the path of like some sort of honor.
He is very beloved. He's the beloved. He is the cup of Aphrodite.
Right, and Bhishma's like that. So Bhishma is a son of. He's actually funny. So here's the part. He is
kings, right. They're both kings.
Well, Bhishma's not a king. He was supposed to be, but he gave up his kingdom for his father's other child. And he interesting enough, is the son of Ganga, the goddess, the river goddess. But secondly,
here too.
He's the avatar of Zeus.
Really?
Yeah, he's the avatar of Zeus. He was cursed as Zeus for stealing a cow.
Does Nestor have any?
I don't
traits
know.
of being like Zeus? That'd be interesting if he did. But no, they both definitely had that elderly.
Oh, hold on. If you go down a bit in that, what did he say? Nestor's mother. Oh, no. Okay, I guess not.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Achilles presenting the prize of wisdom to Nestor. That you're right. That he is like Bhishma, the elder, the beloved elder that everyone loves.
Yeah.
Achilles presenting the prize of wisdom to Nestor during the funeral again. Beautiful painting, by the way.
That's fantastic.
I can see that. I can see where you're going with that. Sacrificing to Poseidon on the beach. Anyways, what else were you saying about that?
No, it's just both Karna and Achilles have similar characteristics. Great warriors. Whereas it's funny. as much as most people describe the spear as the primary means of war at that time, in Homer, archery is still huge. When they fight each other, it's a mixture of archery and spear throwing.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of spear throwing too. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, and then Karna is supposed to be, well, Karna and Arjuna have this like back and forth of who's the greatest. No, I think the text is clear that Arjuna is better than Karna, but Karna gets some celestial weapon called Shakti, which when thrown never misses its mark. So he had some good weapons, but Arjuna had like more what they call astras, which is, meaning divine weapons, like, the power to call the fire from the sky, rain, the burning of the sun, other weapons that come out of your weapon, the mountains fly out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Karna was, like Achilles, considered on the Kaurava side to be the greatest warrior they had. And he sat out for 11 days. And then he gets killed in kind of a pretty
you know what?
shitty way.
That's what happens with Achilles. He sits out when he gets pissed off, and he sits out for like, I don't know, is it the same?
Yeah, that's the beginning of the Iliad.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see what you're going with this all day. They definitely have a lot of And is he the greatest warrior of all? Is he like the most
on the Kaurava side? I think what the text on the whole considers Arjuna better. But with Karna, it's interesting too. It's like that's in Indonesia, Bali. That's Karna on the chariot, and that's Bhima's son Karochkacha on top, who's like half human, half Rakshasa.
Damn. Yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that.
So Karna dies eventually because his chariot gets stuck in the ground, the chariot wheel, and then Arjuna kills him when he's on the chariot wheel because Karna
I remember reading that in the Mahabharata.
Yeah, because Karna helped kill his son Abhimanyu in an ignoble way, and also was the one that tried to disrobe.
Didn't the guy who killed him was like a not noble dude? Like he was like a sort of a trickster guy.
Killed Abhimanyu.
The one who killed the guy who was stuck, who had his chariot stuck.
Oh yeah. No. Like the 7 great warriors of the Kaurava clan killed him together.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they ganged up on him, and they violated the rules of Dharma because you can only have one-on-one battles.
I particularly remember that happening.
Yeah,
but there was like some priest character,
Drona. Yeah,
that fucker, man. Every time he's on the page, he's doing some scheming or something.
But he's the teacher of all the warriors on the field.
Yeah, he was like a sage. He was like really smart.
He's one of the greatest warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, he fought too. That's another thing. That's why he was such a fascinating character to read about, because he's like this priest, slave / sage, but he's also fighting in the battles with all these people. He's really, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. Sage Drona, right? That's his name. Yeah,
Dronacharya means like teacher.
Yeah, and he's always like plotting. He's always like, hey,
he's not plotting actually. He's like the chill dude. The other guy you're talking about is Shakuni.
Shakuni, maybe I'm thinking of that guy.
Yeah, who's actually from let's say Afghanistan. He's from the Gandhara area.
This guy?
Yeah.
Maybe there's like a character in the Mahabharata who is always plotting.
Yeah, right here. It says right there.
Yeah.
Plotting against, he's always the one helping, plotting against the cousins. Yeah.
This is the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yeah.
And he fights too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So this is what I was actually talking about. And he's fascinating, though. I'm not going to lie. When he was reading about this guy, was like, I don't know who I can compare him to in Greek myth.
I don't know if there is one. Because, I mean, again, this war is a familiar war. It's between family around kingdom.
Right. Serpent, Rishi. Never mind. But, yeah. Anyways. Oh yeah, this guy Duryodhana. He's pretty.
Yeah. He's the main antagonist.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, but he's also a very high level warrior.
Oh yeah,
he's very respectful.
But he's a great what you call a mace fighter. So
yeah, he fights the other mace guy, the big
Bhima,
right? Bhima. That's what I meant.
Bhima. Yeah.
That's a famous fight. Yeah. Bhima versus this guy. And how long did they fight for? It was like super long or something.
No, they fought for the day, but Bhima violated the rule by breaking his thigh. You're not supposed to hit below the thigh. And then because Duryodhana basically told Bhima's wife to be his like prostitute and sit on his thigh, Bhima vowed to break his thigh. And he braked him and killed him that way.
And that's how he dies?
He dies bleeding out. Yeah.
Wow. Poor guy. No,
Even though he tried to kill his cousins multiple times.
He was really serious about the war, though, this guy.
He's the reason for the war. So the Pandavas went to him and said, hey, you don't have to give us back our kingdom. Just give us 5 villages. And he said, I won't even give you enough land that sits on the type of a...
This is the gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because it starts off, they're all gambling, and he wins.
So the gambling is never... It's a ritual act, and it's never supposed to lose anything.
It was just family members having fun.
Yeah, and he violated those rules by
making you owe me all this land now.
Yeah,
and then that's where the war starts. So
yeah,
you think that's historical though. That sounds like almost like a historical thing.
So there's some indication that this war might have occurred somewhere between 1200 to 900 BCE. Again, similar to like the Iliad time period, and because we actually find what they would call painted gray ware that is that they say is in that time period. And in fact, Krishna's city Dwarka was discovered about like 20 years ago, and it kind of corresponds.
How do you spell it?
Dwarka, Dvarka. Yeah.
So this is Krishna's city, huh?
Yeah, the ancient one. If you go back up, there's a. I mean, that temple is probably like maybe 500 years old, not that old.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you could tell it's sacred. Just the fact that someone would build that, you know.
Yeah.
This one.
If you go up, you go up to the epic one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they found remnants of it in underwater.
It got flooded out, huh?
Yeah, which the story actually says occurs. The entire sea engulfs the city, and
it might have actually happened then.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, again, elements of it.
I think that's the case for most.
Yeah.
Most local epics, they have like a layer of history, a layer.
Yeah. If you go down a little, here's the archaeology they found. Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. There's usually a layer of I talk about the Hebrew Bible, and people think that I'm like saying that all of it's fake and made up. I don't say that. I've never said that. I think that the text that we have now is redacted and heavily edited in the Hellenistic period. I don't date it to past the I wouldn't date it to Iron Age, but it has within it Iron Age stories, even historical stories, such as kings like Hezekiah and kings like Josiah. Those are real people that actually lived. It's not made up. There's some history in the Bible. I would say the same thing for the Mahabharata.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely some core of history. We just don't know how far. I mean, it could be anywhere from like 1800 to 900 BCE if it occurred. I mean, we don't know. And maybe all these things happened over that time period, and they're just condensed into a single text. Yeah.
And you can even see like stories in modern times get turned into legends and myths. And it just you can see how this stuff just kind of happens naturally.
Yeah. I mean, Alexander. I mean, think about that.
His whole life is all legendary. Caesar, Augustus, all the this is just sometimes real history gets for better or for good reason. Sometimes there's good reason why these legends get told.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got anti-contrarian that drops 5. Thank you for that. Judaism has important numbers 7, 12, 40, 70, just to name a few. What numbers are especially important to Hinduism? Good question. So
this is interesting because I think depending on the time period, different numbers, like 1 is very important, 2, all the numbers, all the prime numbers are very important. Like But if you consider like the most sacred numbers, they will say like a 9 or multiplication of 9. For example, 9, 18, 36, 108, 1008. Those are very important. And 7, like for example, each number I can give you a Vedic correspondence, right? There's one Brahman or one ultimate reality. There's 2 things in the universe, Purusha, Prakriti, which is nature and consciousness. 3, there's the 3 realms, which is upper, middle, lower, or one could say the earth, sky, and the atmosphere, also connected to heaven, earth, and underworld. 4 is the 4 yugas, the 4 ages, also referred to the 4 parts of speech, which comes from, there's Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vyakti, and then one more. It's the way speech works. 5, the Pandavas are 5, the 5 elements. For 6, you have I have to remember 6, the 6 enemies, which is, kama, krodha. It's like anger, jealousy, rage, all that stuff. 7 connected to light, 7 rays of light, the 7 upper atmosphere, and 8 is the 8 vasus, or also and then 9 is the 9 grahas, or the 9 planets, and then 10. And there's so many numbers that have ritual and theological significance. There's not just one set.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I think the 7-12 thing is pretty ubiquitous in a lot of ancient cultures.
Yeah, I mean, 7, like 7 rays, 7 notes of music, very important.
Yeah.
And the 12, there are 12 what we call adityas, the 12 different types of the suns. So that's also very 12 adityas are like Pushan, Bhaga, Surya, Indra, Vishnu. Yeah.
And you can see 12 with
the 12 lunar months is how they're connected to, right?
Yeah. Because there's in a solar year, there's usually 12 moons, not exactly, and there's usually like another intercalatory, whatever you want to call it, period.
Yeah.
But you have at least 12 moons in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that number, and then you have the zodiac, you have the elliptical, and there's, the Babylonians carved out 12 constellations to equally sort of govern that part of the sky.
Yeah.
And so, which is where the sun kind of moves through the sky. And so, but really, some people have said it's actually like 13 or 14 if you include certain other ones that touch it, that barely touch the elliptical. So it's not like I said, it's what's the word? We've constructed it that way.
Mm-hmm.
with the way we see the cosmos. It's not like this wasn't like set like this, Anyways, thank you for that super chat. And I see that we have another super chat from Got to Be Me. Your volume is low. Keep up the good work. I appreciate the super chat, and this is as best as I can do for now. I have to fix something on my audio that's going to take me a day or two to fix, but appreciate you. Anything else with this?
No, we're good for that.
All right. So what else with Homer did you want to look at, or did you have in mind, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is the famous scene now in the Odyssey movie that came out, right, with him stringing that bow and the bow archery challenge. And that archery challenge is so deeply Indo-European, right? Because it's found in the Mahabharata, Ramayana. It's found, I think, even in the Celtic myths. There are myths in Avestan around an archery challenge. The Scandinavians also. I mean, I guess the what do you call the Aesir, Vanir. There's archery is very important in that world too. So that challenge is very fascinating.
It makes you wonder how far back can something like that go, if that's the story that's being told scattered throughout the entire continent.
Right. It connects it, obviously, like one of the best first weapons human beings had was the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow could kill at a distance.
And that's
It can,
that's definitely Stone Age. I mean, we're talking, you know.
yeah. And then so that concept plays out like, what is it? Odysseus shoots his bow through 7 axes. Is that correct? Is it 7?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So Rama in the Ramayana, when he shoots his arrow, he shoots it through 7 trees, to show the power of his arrows, right? His accuracy and his power. When like to win Draupadi's hand, Arjuna has to do an archery challenge where he has to shoot an object above his head without looking at it. He has to look at the reflection in the mirror as the object moves around on a chariot wheel that's spun. So he's got to look down and shoot up. So it's similar to how again the Odysseus wins back Penelope by the archery challenge.
Right.
And
none of the suitors are able to even start the whole. They can't.
Yeah, they can't even string the bow.
Yeah.
They can't even string the bow. Right. Arjuna is the only one that can string the bow again.
Yeah. So that happens in the. So do you have a copy of that we can see real quick? I'm sure people want to see that.
In the Mahabharata, yeah, it happens in the Mahabharata.
Do you have it on digital or?
No, I have it on. I only have it on hard copies. But if we pull up,
we could probably find a PDF of it, right?
Yeah, let me see.
Mahabharata? Is it from the Mahabharata?
Yeah, Mahabharata. Yeah, Arjuna.
Let me see if I can find PDF. Download complete Mahabharata book. Let's see. Is this a translation?
Let me see here. I can find it on Wisdom.
Okay, cool. Because you'll probably have a better translation than what I'm going to find. Yeah. So while you're pulling that up, I can just go back to where it says the bow and arrow. It says the oldest known evidence of arrows comes from layers 20 to 21 and this grotto in Uzbekistan. 80,000 years ago. Micropoints have been found to the right size for use as arrowheads, too small for spear points, and too large for blowgun darts. Traces of impact fractures consistent with the use of projectile points are identified. They may have been hafted to arrow shafts using locally available bitumen. Shit. That's crazy. This is and now if you're sophisticated enough to make a weapon like this that you can kill animals with, they're probably sophisticated enough to tell stories, in their respected languages.
Right.
So there might be some bow and arrow mythology going back to like I'm going to say Neolithic at least, but maybe even beyond that.
Yeah, I have it here. Let me see if I can share it.
Yeah,
it covers a couple chapters, but let me pull it up. There you go. So this is like the scene.
Hard to see it, but if
let me see if I can.
You can zoom in, maybe.
Yeah, I can zoom in.
It's like so small. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. You probably can keep going, actually.
Okay, let me see that. There you go.
Better.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Right. So this is like the scene where they're all watching people like try to string the bow, right? And these are all the people.
They even have that going on too?
Yeah. So like here, and some amongst those kings exerting with swelling lips, each according to his strength and skill education.
Did you just come back from a war? Did you just come back from a war?
No, not yet. This is they're actually interesting enough. They're not from a war. They are on exile, but hidden exile. They're coming back to kind of announce themselves in some sense.
By the way, real quick, I noticed how it says chief of the Yavanas. Isn't that the word for Greek in Sanskrit?
Yep.
So they're mentioning the Greeks in here?
Yeah.
What? Okay. What does it say?
Where's the Yavanas you see here?
It's in the paragraph above this. Three lines up to the right, or from the bottom of that paragraph.
The chief of the Yavanas.
Chief of the Yavanas.
Yeah. Ionians. So that is the combination.
That's why I figured. Yeah, Greeks, Ionians. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are parts of this text, obviously, that were interpolated later, but the
Sure,
core
of
of this
course.
text is so like
Yeah.
right here where it says, and some like right here, right? And some those kings exerting their strength to string the bow were tossed on the ground and lay perfectly motionless for some time. Their strength spent, their crowns and garlands loosened from their person. They began to pant for breath, and their ambition of winning that fair maiden was cooled. Tossed by that tough bow, their garlands and bracelets disordered, they begin to utter exclamations of woe. Right? So
Yep.
Karna here doesn't even get to do it because when he's about to go, like he's about to lift it, she says, Draupadi, I will not select. Sutta is a charioteer as her husband. She wants a king or a royal descent. And so he gets pissed off and throws it down. And he looks at the son, right? Because that's his father.
Wow.
And then the next one is then where Arjuna does it, right? So this is where he gets up and he strings the bow and then he shoots it. He's in hiding, interesting enough, just like Odysseus. He's in hiding as a Brahmin. And because he doesn't want anyone to know who he is yet.
Just like Odysseus, yeah.
Yeah. And so he enters into the hall, him and his brother, and then he strings the bow and then he shoots the arrows, right? Then Arjuna right here. So when Arjuna approached the bow, stood there like a mountain, walking around the bow, bending his head. So he blesses or he requests. Ishana is Shiva or Rudra, and he also remembers Krishna. And he takes up the bow, which all these kings could not do, and could not even with great exertion. Arjuna, the son of Indra, that foremost of all persons endued with energy, like unto the younger brother of Indra, Vishnu in might, strung it in a twinkling of an eye. And taking up
Oh my God.
5 arrows, he shoots the mark.
Wow. So this is so that makes a lot of sense that Arjun would be Odysseus.
Well, I mean, we can't say the same. You could say that you could find those parallels, right?
Yeah, in this particular story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in this
Who else but Arjun would take on that spot when he comes home?
right. I mean, the Pandavas are interesting because they are all each of them are sons of gods, right? And they're not only sons of gods, but they're the avatars of those gods on earth. So they all represent particular deities. Like Arjuna is Indra, like Indra on earth. His older brother is Yudhishthira, who is Yama on earth. His older brother Bhima is Vayu, or the god of the wind. His younger brothers are the Ashvins, the Dioscuri, right?
Yeah.
And his mother's name is her name is Kunti, also means Prithu, which means the earth. So all these deities are born from earth in the Vedas. So that same motif plays out in the Mahabharata.
Really? And Odysseus is
Odysseus is regular human in the Greek
Right.
tradition.
yeah, but he's also he becomes such a legend that he's somewhat like deified.
Yeah, he's the favorite of Athena, right? In that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, he becomes pretty much immortal. Like he goes to the land of the blessed. He's not being reincarnated, and he's not going to Hades and
Yeah.
or Tartarus. He's deified pretty much.
The other person that's cool in that world is Diomedes, who's like Athena loves both Odysseus and Diomedes, and Diomedes is pretty badass, man. I think he like beats most of the Trojan army himself.
Oh yeah, he's like one of the most powerful warriors on the battlefield for sure.
Yeah.
His name means advised by Zeus. That's why he had the Dio in there.
Yeah. Which is really cool, right?
And that word cunning is the same root where Medea gets her name from.
Right.
Diomedes. That's pretty interesting.
And that word Medes is connected to
This guy
the
too, Ajax.
to Meda.
Ajax. Yeah.
The Sanskrit word Meda means it's the same as Mazda in Viston. So Meda means intelligence, wit.
That's interesting. Because Herodotus just thought that the Medes were named after Medea. That's what he thought, and that's because that actually makes sense why that would formulate because the word having to do with Mazda, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, look at you have Diomedes regarded alongside Ajax and Agamemnon after Achilles, but they're missing one. There's another warrior who's the second most powerful warrior. I would put him above Ajax and Diomedes, and that's the king of Ethiopia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he literally squares off with Achilles, and they have like an epic battle, but he loses. Achilles wins.
But isn't that in the one before, or is it after the Iliad?
It's in the myth.
The Little Iliad?
It's called the Little Iliad.
Yeah.
And there's another one called the Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Little Iliad, yeah. And it says the story of the Little Iliad comes chronologically after the Aethiopius, and then is followed by the sack of Troy. There's it's like 7 or 8 total myths that are all part of the same epic cycle.
Yeah, this epic cycle. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my sense is both the Mahabharata and Ramayana were written probably around the same time as the Iliad and the Odyssey and the epic cycle.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. They're all part of the same. It might be I think it's probably like a group of scribes working together rather than just one guy writing all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think the Ramayan's written by one person. That's pretty scholarly accepted. But it's still longer than the Iliad and the Odyssey, but I think it's like 24,000 verses, if I'm not correct. The Mahabharata is the beast. That thing is 100,000.
That thing's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you combine the Iliad and the Odyssey, it's like 13 times the size of that or something like that.
This is not even the whole thing. This is
that's abridged.
Yeah, this is the abridged translation. It's
yeah, I have it.
It's just that's all they have. That's all they can print in one edition. There's got to be tons and tons and tons of these.
If you were to read it straight through, it would probably take you a year and change.
Really?
Like if you spent like a couple hours a day reading it.
And then the abridged Ramayana is pretty tiny.
Yeah, but it's 24,000 verses, so it's
pretty big too. Okay.
Yeah, it's not as big as Mahabharata, but it's it's decent size.
Yeah. Is this the one where Achilles dies?
Isn't that in the sack of Troy? I know.
Yeah, it's in one of these. But I know he defeats what's his name?
Hector, right?
Well, that's in the Iliad. But then he defeats because the Trojans get help. There's a whole. Now I wish they would have
preserved it. Yeah.
Not even preserved it because the stories are pretty well preserved by the Latin side, but I wish they would have reflected it in the new movie.
Oh,
you had a whole fucking army of Ethiopians come to fight on the side of the Trojans, and they actually turn the tide of the battle according to the sources, but then they still lose. But it would have been interesting to show something like that. Like, oh, okay, Agamemnon is starting to win the war, and he's taking over. But, oh, shit, look at all these fucking Ethiopians coming out of nowhere on their ships. Oh, now we're in trouble again. Like, they could have had that somewhere.
Did you ever watch Troy, The Fall of the City? As a BBC version of it. They did it in like 10 episodes.
I think I might have seen that a long time ago. It's been a while, though.
It was pretty good. I mean, they did make Achilles black, but, I mean...
Did they?
Yeah, I mean, look... I think people get way too crazy about this stuff. Like even they did a Mahabharata by this guy named Peter Brooks in the 1990s, in which it was a multiracial cast, and I was like, I didn't really care because, again, when you watch a story or you listen to a story, remember they're all putting characters on the stage, and I think we're so racialized in the way we think about people that we don't see that they're actors. We should be like using our imagination to see that character come out in that story.
Yeah, fine, but then it's like you can look at Memnon. You could have added Memnon and made the character. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like if that's the case, then why do the same people get mad about, like, I don't know. I mean, I think they should, actually. I think rightfully so. You should, if you're doing a movie about like African mythology, you should have African actors.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say to that, like, for example, if the race makes sense, like if you're going to make 12 years as a slave in America,
Yeah,
I mean, the
exactly.
slave character should be played by a black guy.
Yeah. It's
But if you're
gotta
making
be.
a mythic story about gods, like, I mean, they made the entire movie Gods of Egypt with a bunch of white guys, right? You know,
Yeah,
and
it's silly. It's silly.
I don't really care, frankly. It's like, okay, fine. But like if they did the same thing with African gods, I don't think I would care either.
Yeah. By the way, look at this. There's Memnon, who's no, I'm sorry. Memnon's being killed
By
by
Achilles, right?
There's
Yeah.
Achilles right here, killing Memnon. Memnon, who's Ethiopian, has a swastika on his fucking shield, dude. What the hell, dude? That's so
Actually, do you
ironic.
know what that symbol meant in the Greek world?
I think it's the solar
The same?
symbol.
Was it all solar?
I don't know if we know for sure what all of them mean, but it's kind of just like a cool. So I think it's solar though. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because in my house I do have swastikas, and like I have a couple Jewish friends come over and they're like, "What?" I'm like, bro, you gotta relax. That's not like
You should
your
do I
symbol,
look like
it's
I'm
my
look like
symbol.
Nazi to you?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I don't know how we got on this, but yeah, there's a lot there's a lot of interesting Homeric side stories, I guess, if you want to call them that. But
Yeah. I mean, look,
Memnon was such a major character that no one talks about. You know,
yeah, yeah. I
he's
think
like
there's like
he specifically comes there. I think
yeah,
it says in one of the Latin versions of the story, he specifically comes there because he has the he was given the armor that Hephaestus himself wore and made.
yeah.
He had Hephaestus's armor, and he was like, "I'm going to fight Achilles, and I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to be the most famous warrior of all time." And then he loses. But that would have been such a cool scene in the movie, dude. You know,
Yeah, I don't think they could capture enough of
he's divine too. He's the son
yeah.
of Dawn. He's the son of Eos.
Oh, the dawn.
Yeah, see, it's moved by Eos's tears. She's crying over her dead son. And then he gets immortality. He becomes immortal. It's a good ending. Even though he
Yeah.
loses, it's still a good ending. You know?
Eos is cognate with Ushas.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I wanted to ask you. Does Ushas have a son who's a warrior too? Maybe we can find the
No, not that I recall.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't see any sons here or children.
Well, she has siblings.
Yeah.
Her parents. But she's a dawn goddess, and I think she's a maiden. So she doesn't have a partner.
Got Eostray, Aurora, Zoria. I never heard of Zoria before.
Yeah, Zoria is I've heard of Zoria.
Slavic. I should know this. Huh.
The three sisters, right? There's like Zoria has two other sisters.
Oh, is this one of those three sister goddesses?
I think I could be wrong, maybe.
Dawn. She is depicted as sister of the sun, the moon, and Danica, the morning star.
Yeah.
But isn't the dawn is the morning star? Like, that's weird. The dawn, like, how are you dawn, but your sister is the morning star? You know. Yeah. Oh, that is another interesting parallel. Is the dawn bringer, light bringer, and Vesper, night. What is that called? What do you call that? The
Dusk.
Yeah. Is there anything like that in Hinduism?
Yeah.
Is it like twins or something like that, or no?
Well, I mean, Usha's sister is Ratri, which is night. Where she's the dawn, the day. Ratri is night.
Ratri. So that's what that is right there.
Yeah.
So you have Ratri and Ushas is sort of like Heosphoros and Vesperus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Ratri protects the night. She protects you in the night from demonic creatures and
It's not like Nyx though.
no.
Huh. It says right here, Nick, but that's usually wrong though.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wikipedia is just like an approximation of things, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's this deity right here? Satya.
Satya is not a deity.
No.
Satya is a word that means truth, or it can mean being. So it's the firmament of all reality.
Huh. What do you think? Oh, you know what? That's sort of like Logos in a way.
So logos is no. So
No?
logos would be closer connected to Vak, which is the
Is that one of
goddess
these
of
yamas?
speech. No, Vak is goddess of speech. VAC. If you look up Vak, VAC.
Yeah, but Logos isn't really a goddess or anything like that.
Well, Vak is also speech itself.
Okay.
So it's if you put
Right here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because Logos becomes sort of deified by the philosophers, whereas it was originally sort of like Heraclitus says Logos is the what does he say? He says it's like the fire that holds all the cosmos together, or something along those lines.
Yeah. So in the same way that the Vedic texts refer to Vak as the one that holds all things, because
Is that what he says?
speech, by the power of speech, does existence arise as consciousness, says.
Yeah.
So it's both. Vak is considered both as a goddess and divine speech.
I see. That's interesting. What was I about to say before that?
You're talking about logos. That's what.
Yeah. I forgot what it was. Yeah. Anyways, the like truth, essence. I'm just reading this right now. Restraints are called. I guess this is more like arete, a virtue or something.
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, virtue would be. Sometimes dharma can be.
Dharma. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, arete might be closer to the word Arya. In fact.
Yeah, because you're trying to attain something to attain. It's not like an actual deity. It's not. It's like an attainment thing.
Although there is a deity called Aryaman.
Really?
Yeah, which the is like the one who possesses the Arya, which is the nobleness.
I think there's a Latin deity that's basically virtue deified. I think that's what it is. No, this is Christian. Never mind. But yeah. Anyways, back to what we were saying before. Let me just grab some of these super chats real quick.
Yeah.
Memnon. Oh yeah, they were reminding me of the person's name that I wasn't thinking of. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. Anti-Contrarian for the $5. Thank you for the super chat. Why did concepts like Kalapani develop later? Or do you think this aversion to the sea predates Vedic times on the Indian subcontinent?
So Kalapani means black water. So this idea, which is, I think, a later concept that plays a role in what's the period of time called the Dharma Sutras and afterwards, where if Brahmins cross the sea, they lose their Brahmin status. And that, I think, comes later because part of the ritual is you have to be connected to and still in either water or earth. And on a boat, you can't perform those rituals. And your ritual act is what makes you, which purifies you as a man. So as you travel, and usually it's going to be more than 3 days, if you travel over the ocean, you lose your ritual status. And then when you come back to the land, you have to do appropriation to come back to your community. Because there's no aversion to sea travel on the whole. I mean, most of Southeast Asia was seeded by people traveling the seas. Fact, to Rome, you find merchants moving from, through the Red Sea, or is it the Arabian Sea? I think Indian ships coming into Egypt and then making their way to Rome. So there was a lot of trade and travel and so on. So I don't think there was a strict version, only for Brahmins.
I was just thinking, this is random, but what is the oldest surviving, like, I know you got the Vedas.
Mhm.
What that's like those are like hymns that you sing. Those are like Orphic hymns type of thing. What about like an epic? What's the oldest epic you guys have?
Yeah, I mean, so the Mahabharata and Ramayana will be the oldest, but so the Vedas are 4 sections, right? The ones you're talking about, the hymns, they're called the Samhita or the Mantra Samhita. They're the first part, but then
Yeah.
there's the text after that called the Brahmanas and the Aranyakas, and then the Upanishads. They're not epics, but the Brahmanas hold a lot of the stories.
There's a lot
Like,
of historical stuff in there.
yeah, think of it almost like the theogony, but they attach all the stories to ritual. So they explain the ritual through the story.
That's
Why
what
do you do X, Y, Z?
gotta
What do
check
the
that
gods represent? Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I need to go check out next as soon as possible. Just kind of dig through those stories and see what's in there. I bet you there's a lot of gold in there.
Yeah, there's tons of gold, by the way. Yeah.
Anything in particular related to what we're talking about that you find in there?
Well, a lot of these, I mean, the Brahmanas are more concerned with the gods. So stories of the gods across Greek and Indian traditions are similar, right? Like, for example, Zeus and Typhon is connected, like Indra and Vritra, or Indra fights multiple beings like Typhon, including Vishwarupa, who is like Tvashter's son, who attacks him too, and similarly it has similar motifs to Typhon, because Typhon has hundreds of heads, right? Tvashter's son Vishwarupa means like all forms, so he has multiple arms, whatever. There are stories connected to I think I had to think a little more, but like those motifs are very clearly present. If we could take a look at a certain god, and I could find you parallels. It's just fascinating. Like even on the Iliad and the Odyssey, like this concept of the taking of Helen, right? To starts the war, similar to the concept of in the Ramayana, where Sita's abducted by Ravana, and that's what causes Rama to go to Lanka to get back his wife, right?
Really?
Yeah.
So even something is so central to the story of the Iliad, like the abduction of Helen, also has parallels in these ancient Indo-Aryan mythologies.
Yeah, I mean, she's taken by Ravana because he finds her beautiful, but he can't touch her because he has a curse that he can't. So historically, I mean, in his story, he had went and sexually abused a bunch of women, and then he was cursed that if he touched a woman without her consent, he would die. So he kidnaps her, and then he takes her with him, but he can't touch her. He gives her like a year. Otherwise, he'll kill her. And in that year, Rama finds him, and they go to war.
Was this him abducting her?
Yeah, that's Ravan, and he's cutting off the wings of the vulture named Jatayu, who tries to protect her.
Damn! So he gets away with it, huh?
Yeah, and then Rama catches him in Lanka, and they have that massive battle with Rama and his brother Lakshmana and the army of monkeys and bears versus Ravana and his army.
Poor little Jatayu. He's like,
Yeah,
I failed my mission.
yeah, and he does, and then and Rama consoles him, and then buries him or cremates him with proper rites.
Nice. That's crazy. I love this stuff, dude. I fucking love this stuff. People are reenacting it.
Yeah, that's in Indonesia. So the Ramayana travels all the way from India to Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia. It's their national epic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Indo-European language family stretches so far.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's literally all across the world at this point. It's the most spoken linguistic family branch in the planet, you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you
It
think
is.
close?
I think it's the most spoken in the world. It's like
Yeah.
3 billion people
I don't
speak
think
it.
anyone. I don't think anything comes close to that.
No.
So that's okay. That's crazy. I like that. The abduction myth. Damn. I wonder how far back that goes. The abduction myth. Like
So
the abduction, it's not a myth. It's a motif. I would say.
yeah, it's a motif.
Abduction motif. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have Persephone being abducted. You have,
Correct.
you have Io being abducted. You have Medea being abducted.
Yeah.
There's various abduction motifs that are Herodotus writes about all of them and compares them all to each other too in his book 1.
Yeah. Like even the War of the Gods, the moon abducts Thara, the wife of Brihaspati, and that starts the War of the Gods. And
Oh, there you
Thara
go.
means
There you go.
star. And so the
Oh,
sun, the moon
in the
kidnaps
Hebrew
the star.
Bible. In the Hebrew Bible, what is the daughter of Jacob? What's her name?
Oh.
Daughter of Jacob is Dinah. Dinah is abducted, and they start a war over it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I think it should be on the Wikipedia for this. Dinah, judge, vindicated, was the 7th child and only daughter of Leah and the Israelite Jacob. See, right here, on account of her by Shechem, son of the Canaanite and Hivite prince, the subsequent revenge taken by Dinah's brothers, commonly referred to as the... So there you go. You have another parallel, even in the Hebrew Bible, of the sort of abduction narrative or motif of the abducted one. It starts these wars and starts these, and I think you can understand why something like this would make its way into sacred literature, is because when something like this happens, you got to that's the opposite of hospitality.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is to touch someone's daughter or wife, or that's the opposite of it's what. So that's a war right there. We have a war on our hands. We're going. Everyone get ready.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see why that would be there. That's interesting. I like
So
that.
another interesting thing is the concept of xenia, right?
So,
yeah. So that is very much central in the Vedic world as Atiti.
Yeah.
Yeah. The concept of Atiti means guest. So there's a mantra that goes, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Your mother is God, your father is God, your guest is God. So anyone that comes to your house or to your place, you must offer a place for them to sleep. You must offer them food, water to drink, and to cleanse themselves. And you have to give them hospitality, right?
Yeah,
and that's
even the Persians have the xenia in there with Pythios the Lydian on their inscriptions.
Yeah,
so that's
very important.
Super, super deep Indo-European tradition. Maybe even beyond Indo-European. Maybe it's just super deep in general.
Yeah. So like the word atiti means atiti, which means not timely. So these people come whenever they come. So it's like a stranger that just shows up, right? This is not like a guest that you invited. It's someone that's aditi. So this is ati, A-T, A-T-I-T-H-I. A-T, A-T.
Oops.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
Guess akin to God. Oh yeah, that's crazy, because that's exactly what Xenia says. It says, be kind to travelers, because one of them might be God, and also it's setting up a universal order,
Right.
to make the world sort of run smoothly. So you have it's actually in the interest of multiple kingdoms, even if they are opposing each other, to have a system like this in place.
Right.
And it just, you can see why that would become very prominent or important, right? Because in this tradition, you have like this right here. This is one of the most famous myths about Xenia, is that Philemon and Baucis, they're poor, they don't have a lot,
Mm-hmm.
they have a hearth, they have some wine, and these two random people show up, and they're like, "Hey, we went from house to house, and everyone told us to get the F out. What do you say?" And they're like, "All right, come in." And they give them their last bit of wine, and then all of a sudden the wine keeps overflowing miraculously, and they're like, "Oh no, oh my God, it's a god! It's the gods, Jupiter and Mercury."
Yeah, there's a similar story in the Mahabharata too, by the way. There's a story of the golden mongoose. And that is, so the king Yudhishthira at the end of the war does this big sacrifice, and it's like the biggest thing in the world. This mongoose who's half golden comes there and rubs itself around the sacrifice, and it sees its skin hasn't changed golden. And it said this sacrifice isn't equal to this other sacrifice he went to, where he saw a super poor family, destitute, with no food. And then the god Indra comes to them in disguise. And then they offer him hospitality, and they give him the last morsel of food. Essentially.
Oh, yeah, I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so the god says, at this moment I shall give you heaven itself. And so that is the hospitality that's very much played out here.
That happens in is it the same one I'm thinking of in the Mahabharata?
Yeah, that's Mahabharata.
When Krishna shows up, or no, I'm sorry, wait, what is it? Is there the Brahmins show up?
Yeah, so that's a different story.
One morsel left, and then she cooks it, and then all of a sudden they can eat all the food they want.
Well, the story is the flip side, because Duryodhan, the guy you mentioned, sent the angriest sage to Draupadi because he wanted her to get cursed, because she had no food. So they come, and then she's like, "Oh, why don't you go bathe?" And then she's struggling to find food, and she has one drop of morsel left, and Krishna shows up.
While they're in the water bathing, she's like freaking out. Where do I find
and Krishna shows up,
and Krishna's like, what are you getting upset about?
And then he takes the morsel and eats it, and they become full. And then they're like, they can't go back because they had already told her they're hungry. So if they go back and they don't eat, that's the flip side of hospitality, which is the host gives you things and you are obligated to take it, right? Yeah, the idea is like, this is reciprocity. Like if you're a stranger, you don't say, "Well, I can't eat that. I don't like that. I don't want this." You've been given something, you take it, you eat it, and that's how you honor your host.
Yeah, that's interesting, because almost like that side of hospitality is starting to fade away in this world, because now everyone has their own local. I can't eat pork. I can't eat shellfish, because it's like, but can't you do it for this one time? I guess not. I don't know. Like, that's another aspect that no one thinks about.
Yeah, which is why
I don't have anything on myself that says I can't eat a certain thing. If I go to someone's house and they cook dinner, I'm going to eat it.
So it's funny, because the Buddhist monks in the time of Buddha, which is like, they're normally vegetarian, but because they beg at each house, whatever you put in their begging bowl, they eat. So if it's meat in there, they eat it. If there's, normally they're vegetarian, but that's part of it. You give me whatever, and I subsist off of what's given.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No one thinks about it that way.
Yeah.
This Martyrs says, is there a connection between Levi and Brahmin?
I think they're talking about the priest class, right? The Levites and the priest class.
Oh, yeah, the Levites and the Brahmins.
Yeah.
I guess there's a parallel there. I don't know if there's a connection there, but
yeah, I don't think there's a connection.
Priestly family. Yeah.
Yeah. So a Brahmin, there are many types of Brahmins, especially nowadays. There's ones that There's what's known as Vedic Brahmin. They only do Vedic rites. There's Agamic, there's Tantric Brahmins, there's different types of Brahmins. And like the temple priests are not the same as Vedic Brahmins. Vedic Brahmins are only doing the fire sacrifice or the Soma sacrifice. They're not really necessarily doing anything at temples, because temples is not Vedic. It's Agamic, which means it belongs to a different set of texts.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. The Vedics have nothing to do with temples?
No.
Really?
No.
It's all outside?
So there's like different streams. Vedic is one stream. Agamas are like the tantras. We'll talk about tantras. Like one aspect of tantra is temple building, temple worship, how you do that particular thing. Because like, so there's the Vedic sacrifice, which is very much like there's a fire, there's an animal or whatever, and you do the sacrifice. And then later on, that sacrifice becomes internalized in the meditative practice. And then it becomes externalized again in a temple practice where the same fire sacrifice and the rituals around that is then created into a temple atmosphere.
And now, do they work together in unison, or are
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
They're considered separate lines, but yes, that's why tantra means a weave, that which weaves in and out of traditions.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just say to that this question is like, obviously there's going to be parallels between priesthoods.
Yeah.
There are these ordained holy men. I mean, it's like you have your flamen in Roman religion.
Yeah.
Flamen were the priests of Jupiter. Flamen Dialis, that's what I mean, priest of Jupiter. You have your Sibyl, you have your and there, you have your Vestal virgins, and you can draw parallels between them and nuns, because they give themselves over to God, they're keeping their virginity. Sometimes it's more parallels that are through just two different groups doing the same things, rather than there being a genetic connection between. It's the same thing,
right?
It's not. Sometimes I notice that in comparative mythology circles where everyone's looking for genetic, this gave birth to this. It's not always that. It's usually not that. Or sometimes it could just be this group inspired this group to do this. And it doesn't necessarily, and then there's like a differences there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, the Levites, where did they get their, where do they copy or adopt their traditions from? Well, probably Canaanite or Assyrian priesthoods that are closer to them, rather than going all the way to India and going, oh, they're looking to India for all this stuff. It's like, well, there's some separation. There might be something in between that we should look at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say for Levites, you have your Assyrian priesthood. I did a video on this a long time ago where they had these two festivals in the Assyrian religion when the Assyrians were ruling Mesopotamia for the longest, the Neo-Assyrian kingdom. And they had the Sakru festival and the Kisu festival. And those two festivals are a lot like what you find in the Hebrew Bible or in Judaism as the Passover and the Sukkot, those two. So the Passover, you have the slaughter of the lamb, you have the table, you have the cedar table, all that stuff. You find a very similar ritual in the Assyrian Kisu. And then in the Zakru, you find a lot of parallels that you find in the Sukkot festival, where there's like certain animals, 70 bowls. I think there's a list of 70 bowls, like 10 per day for the whole 7 days. And there's like an exact match between Judaism and Assyrian. So that's another interesting parallel. There's a lot of stuff like that I'll have to go back and read it myself, but that was just on the top of my head, two of the things I can think about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any strict parallels. I just imagine there's a lot of ritual purity that's involved here.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of certain clothes they have to wear, certain clothes they can't wear, certain foods, certain things, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But even Yahweh temple priests have Indo-Aryan
Yeah.
influence, because you and I talked about.
Yeah. The
how
fire.
the Persians, the
Yeah.
Persian stuff, the Homa
Atharva.
rituals, there's a lot of that a lot of that influence happening in the Yahweh temple, especially the one we found in Elephantine.
Yeah.
So I was pretty blown away by that when I found that out.
Because I think was it Gad Barnea that made this argument?
Yeah,
And he talked about the Atharv.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is in his book. I could pull that up actually. I'll pull up the next super chat. We can well, first before the next one we have my boy Howard. Good to see you. Hail Ahura Mazda, and we were just talking about Ahura Mazda. I'm actually going to bring him back up in a second. So hold that thought, Howard. Good to see you. In the Vedic tradition, is all of this revealed to man, more like a persistent approach to theological development? That's a good question.
So it's they use the word drishta. The word rishi is connected to the word drishta, which means to see. So the Vedic poets see the Vedic mantras and then they chant them or write them down or create them in that sense. So they're considered, a later tradition considers them to be, the word is called apodushe, which means not created at all. Like even the supreme God doesn't create them. They just exist eternally as like the breath of God. So they just exist. And then the earlier traditions do see this as being divine visions or divine sight that gives one access to the nature of the universe.
Oh shit! So there is sort of a revelation aspect.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I think that's pretty ubiquitous though. But
yeah,
that's a good question. I never thought about that. How much is revealed? How much is added on later? All that stuff. So this is the book called Yahwism Under a Canaanid Empire. I seriously recommend it. It's
I read that a while back. It's pretty good.
Yeah, great stuff. And then you have chapters written by different scholars. Gad Barnea is one of the editors, along with Reinhard Kratz. And I just want to skip ahead where Gad writes. He says he shows this amazing piece of evidence about the fire altar.
Yeah,
and
I think they call it in the Bible as Athar, right, or something like that.
Athardan.
Yeah, which is Atharvan, which is
and it's borrowing from the Indo-European word for fire holder.
Yeah, Athar is the fire. Van is the one that holds it or possesses it.
Yeah. So I think it's right here. The Canaanid Empire. I think it's pretty quickly. It's one of the first couple of chapters of this. Here it is. Aswan's. No, not this one. Wait, is this it? No. Keep going. Magi. Here it is. So.
This was only in Elephantine, right?
It's just an Elephantine, and this is before Judaism.
Yeah.
This is technically your first temple. No, this would be second temple period, I guess. Yeah, this would be your second. If we're going to label it that, which is a stupid label, but if you're going to label it that, this would be during that period. It'd be right at the beginning of the second temple period. So they're just coming back from. But these people were not, and these people are in Elephantine. They're not in Jerusalem. They're talking to the Jerusalem people during the second temple period.
Right.
They're not part of that second temple period. They're in their own temple. They're in there. There's just one of these. So there's not two of these. And it says the presence of Magi. And they do worship Yahweh, by the way. Someone recently was in the comments. I missed it. They're like, they weren't Jews. They didn't even worship Yahweh. No, that's not true. Number one, they were Jews. They called themselves Yehudim, and they did worship Yahweh. So this, do we call it Judaism? No. But it is Yahwistic and it is Jewish in that sense. Contact with Yahwist at Elephantine is in fact documented in legal papyrus. 430. We even have the exact date based on
That's crazy.
Which a house is bequeathed to a certain woman, what previous real estate, and a Yahwistic family is recorded. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. It says, these names are important as they reflect AZ concepts that were central and they came into times and show that they were known in Egypt at the time. They include Arta,
read that.
Asha, cosmic truth, Ater, sacred fire, Baga, the gods. These are the words that are found in these inscriptions in these texts. Fravarti, a Zoroastrian term for the spirit of protection, the abode of an individual's soul.
Homa.
Yazd Haoma, or the AZ ritual, Ahura Mazda, Lord of Wisdom, head of the pantheon, Mithra, one of the chief deities, Spenta, bountiful, holy, used to describe a mesh of spent divinities. Now, this is just like slam dunk. We have some hardcore influence by the Persians on
Oh yeah.
early Judean practice, right? Judean practice. Armati is used, the theophoric personal names at Elephantine. Isaiah,
Yeza.
the
Yagna.
invested concept of God worship and sacrifices. Arta Barzana, recorded here only as a patronymic. The last PN is probably Zita Name, or of the concept behind.
Here's the fire altar.
Yeah. So here's we get in the fire altar. Yeah, exactly. The most striking assimilation of the ritual elements documented among Yahwists at Elephantine is the fire altar, which they themselves describe as being associated with their temple. In one of the papyri documented the events surrounding the destruction of the Yahwistic temple at Elephantine. Offerings made to Yahweh in the temple are mentioned with the loan word atardan.
Yeah.
This is the Hebrew, atardan. From the Persian atar, fire. This papyrus is dated to 410 BC. We're getting kind of late in the game here, but still, we're in the 5th century still. This is often translated simplistically as brazier. However, there can be a little doubt that this is technical cultic loanword into Aramaic. Rooted in the Avestan Atar, the holy fire. There would be no, and this is so important because to the topic we're having right now, because that the idea of the holy fire is super ubiquitous in ancient Indo-European culture.
Oh yeah.
Heavy, very ancient too. There would be, you have Vesta, the fire of Vesta, the fire of Hestia. You have the ones we're mentioning here in Zoroastrian, and as you mentioned in Brahmin circles, this is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there would be no need to resort to technical Mazdian cultic term, especially when addressing what was probably an Iranian official. If the intent was to simply refer to a common fire container, if the Yahwists wanted to describe a fire container without Mazdian connotations, they could have easily expressed it through something along the lines of purely Aramaic Dawid or Danor, right? That's a very good point. A very strong, solid argument there. The term Atardan is precisely the term used to this day, it says, for the Zoroastrian fireholder, Atashdan, except with the older Avestan form, Atar. So it's literally one consonant different.
Yeah.
Instead of Atardan, it's Atashdan. Same word.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing preservation. Amazing preservation. There's words in English that are way more reformed from the old Germanic words. That's like, this is almost perfect, which is the expected Achaemenid usage. The term appears in one of the accounts of the violence perpetuated against the Yahwistic temple during one of the incidents. It is written in a single column and verse, so badly preserved. Nevertheless, key terms like offering, Mana'ah, Yahweh, the God, and the Atardan, the fire altar, are all mentioned within the same meaning context. And here's the text right here. You can see right.
He highlighted it. I can't read it, so
yeah, this is hard to. I can sort of see it. Actually, I can see it right there. Atardan, right there. Ataradan, and it's right here. Ataradan. So there it is. There's the word. It's right there.
Cool.
And it says to bring Mana'ah, to offer there to Yahweh. Let me just see if I can see that now that I've already read it. To Yahweh. So it would be right there. To, and then Yod, He, Vav. To Ya'o. To Ya'o. It's interesting because the older you go, the more the 4 letters drops. It looks more closer to the Greek rendering,
right,
than anything else. That's pretty fascinating. The fact that the cultic term Yatardan is mentioned in the context of the damage of the Yahweh temple and offering to the deity Yahweh makes it practically certain that this fire container serving for the ritual, a fire altar, associated with the Yahwistic temple. It thus seems that the Yahwist at Elephantine maintain a Mazdian-inspired fire altar that was linked with their temple, as the text seems to suggest, with an offering. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, that's damn cool. Yeah.
I mean, what kind of stuff like that do you have in dharmic circles where fire holders and stuff like that? What kind of stuff can you say about that?
I mean, there's the entire one section of the Veda called the Atharva Veda, the
Really?
Veda about the fire.
Yeah,
Athar, yeah, yeah, and the priest class is called Atharva. Atharvana is who they are, like they're the fire connected. Yeah.
Could we pull that up, by the way?
Yeah, if you just pull up the Wikipedia and say Atharva Veda, ATHA.
Okay, I noticed it. I know it as Athar Veda.
No, Atharva.
But it's that. This is it right here.
Yeah, Athar.
So this is the same thing.
Yeah, the Athar is the fire.
I didn't even put two and two together until just now.
Yeah, the Atharvana is the priest.
All right.
Veda means knowledge. Atharvana is the priest, but he's the fire priest. Athar, he's the one who.
I got it.
Yeah.
So the word
Atharvan.
Fire, but it's also used for priest.
No. So the word is Athar is fire. Atharvan is the priest, but when you put the words together, it becomes Atharva Veda.
Okay. Now I got you. So it's fire priest knowledge.
It's like the Athardan.
Yeah. Wow. And so this is all about how to maintain the fire?
Yeah, this is the fire ritual. Magical formulas and fire.
And this makes its way into Proto-Judaism. Think about that. Think about how crazy that is. I mean, the reason why I think this is such a not mind-blowing thing that I wish everyone knew this. I wish it was household knowledge, because we have this, and we live in this society now where everyone's either Muslim, Jewish, or Christian, and they kind of dominate the cultures. And it's like they all think that this Old Testament is like the oldest thing ever. And then when you actually go back and look, you're like, oh, actually, a lot of it's adopting older Indo-European stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like stuff like this, the fire holders and all this stuff in the temples. Even I'm talking outside of the text now, but you know what I mean? The cultural aspect, the sometimes called the Veda of magical formulas. Royal rituals and the duties of the court priest are also included in the Atharva Veda. Huh.
So if you just go to the word Atharvan,
900 BC, dude.
Yeah.
This is way before the Yahweh temples.
12 to 900, yeah.
Yeah, way before the Yahweh temples. We're talking way before. What does it say about the fire in here? It says right here. After the mythical priest named Atharvan, who was first developed the prayers to fire, offers Soma. And by the way, this is exactly the ritual Gad's talking about, the Soma ritual in the temple to Yahweh.
Yeah.
He's talking about it's called the yasna, right?
Yeah, and which is yagna in Sanskrit.
Yagna. And then compose formulas and spells intended to counteract diseases and calamities. Veda of the Atharvanas. And then you have that word right here. Isn't that connected to fire?
Yeah, Angiras is connected to fire too.
Yeah.
So Agni is fire. Angiras is connected to fire.
Wow. Right here, Michael Woods says the etymology is a Proto-Indo-Iranian Atharwan, ancient priest sorcerer. So
it's a cognate to Atharan, which is...
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're basically sending out sorcerer priests or magi, I guess magi is a good word to use, to Elephantine to run the temple based on the knowledge that the Persians gave them.
Yeah.
This is how you run a temple. These are the things that priest has to do. These are his duties. This is what he should wear. This is what he should do. This is how he should do this. This is the drink he needs to consume, and he needs the words he has to say. And it all goes back to this fucking text right here.
Yeah, and if you go down where you were before.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's okay. So it talks about the
Dating?
Atharva Veda is occasionally referred to Bhargava Vansh and Brahma Vidya or Brahma
Oh,
Veda.
yeah.
I'm descendant from Bhrigu.
Really?
Yeah, that's so I like when I do my rituals every day, I have what's known as a thing I say about who my first 5 rishis are connected to my lineage. So that's
way.
my yeah. Like I say Abhivade Bhargava, which is Bhrigu, Shavana, which is his son, Apnamana, his other son, Aurva. Aurva means fire too, and Jamadagna. When those are the 5 original or the patriarchs of my clan, which I descend from this particular firebringer, Bhrigu, who might have been Persian.
Wow. So that's pretty interesting, dude. You got that Aryan DNA going on.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The cortex of the Atharvaveda falls within the classical mantra Vedic Sanskrit during the 2nd millennium BC. Really? It goes back that far, huh?
Yeah.
Roughly contemporary with the Yajurveda mantras.
So I belong to the Yajur Veda. That's my Veda.
What do you mean by your Veda?
So if you belong to a Brahmin family, you are connected to a particular Veda and a particular recension of the Veda. So I belong to the Yajur Veda, Krishna Yajur Veda, which means a black Yajur Veda. There's also the white Yajur Veda, and then between that, there's different recensions or different ways to chant. And yeah, so Rig Veda has a few different ones. Atharvana has a few. Samaveda is a singing Veda where you learn to sing the song like gathas. The Rig Vedic, I mean, as like the Veda, Avestan gathas are similar to Samaveda, where they're sung. Yeah. So, like for example, like Atharva Veda, has its own declensions.
Oh. It says the priests who practiced the Atharva Veda were considered to be the lowest tier of Brahmins.
But that's later in time. That wasn't even like, not the original time period. So this is like over time, people are like, so like in the modern day, right? So this is like that kind of stuff.
Okay. A stigma held by some against Atharva Veda priests is documented in Odisha well into modern day. That's interesting, though, because that kind of reminds me of like how the temple priest thought, the Sadducees thought they were a higher class than Essenes, the dirty Essenes.
Yeah.
There's traveling dirty Essenes. They go to city. We
See,
stay here in Jerusalem.
Like I said, this is the recensions. They have all these different recensions.
Yeah. Wow, there's a lot of shit in here, huh?
Yeah.
Charms against fever. Yeah, that's another thing I like about reading the Vedas. This is these charms and hymns and chants. And there's
usually a ritual that goes around it. You have to do certain ritual acts.
Yeah. Huh. Remedy from medicinal herbs. That's pretty interesting.
So this is why they'll say like Ayurveda. You've heard Ayurveda?
Yeah.
They'll say it comes from Atharva Veda.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tawny colored and pale, variegated and the red, the dusky tinted and the black. All plants were summoned. We summon hitherward. I speak to healing herbs spreading and bushy, the creepers and those whose sheath is single. I call for thee, the fibrous, the reed-like, the branching plants, dear to Vishwadevas.
The all gods.
Oh, okay. The conquering strength, the power and might the victorious plant possesses. Therewith deliver this man here from consumption, O ye plants. So I prepare the remedy. Spells and prayers. So this is like PGM type of stuff, right here. Greek magical papyri type of stuff.
It starts, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's worth reading through the Vedas for sure. You can get yourself a good translation. I don't know how good this translation is. Have you ever seen this one before?
Is that Barrington?
Let me see. It is. What does it say here? Where's the translator? Oh, Ralph Griffith, 1896.
Oh yeah,
Is this good?
He's not bad. I mean, I don't agree with everything he translates, but he's not bad. He's pretty good.
Yeah, this is the one I've been reading for over the years for a long time.
If you're interested in the philology, look at the new version by Jamie Barrington and Joel. Stephanie Jameson and Joel Barrington. That's really good. It gives you the philology and
Oh,
all that
really?
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've compared translations of certain text. For example, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
I've read like 10 different translations of the same passage that are
Yeah.
miles apart from each other, as if they're not even the same story.
Yeah. It depends if you're reading the translation or commentary. The commentaries are miles apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. The translations, I you really couldn't make it miles apart. It's very tough to do that.
Well, I guess the core story is still the same, but there's like details that are like way different in these translations.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's still the same. You still have Krishna and Arjun and
yeah, but I think it's probably the comment. So a lot of the times it's the commentary that's going to be very different, and the translations they try to fit the words in English to match the commentary.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got a couple more super chats. Do we see stories of castration in Hindu myth like we see in Greek myth? If not, why do you think this is the case? What would be the closest example?
The only real myth around particularly castration is in the Ramayana, when Indra basically fools Ahilya and then has sexual intercourse with her. The gods, the rishi or the sage curses him for his testicles to fall off. And yeah, and then he later gains it back at some other point.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But the earlier myth around, or the story around Prajapati lusting after Usha. Prajapati means the creator or the lord of creatures. So the first being. So he creates Usha, which is the dawn, and he desires her. So in the sense, the gods consider her to be his daughter. So
dawn is always attractive to everyone in every myth.
Yeah. So they put their energies into creating Rudra or Shiva, who takes on the element of shooting an arrow at Prajapati, which causes his seed to drop, which causes the creation of creatures.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even thought about that. Good question. Thank you for that super chat. Okay, next one is Kensington Cisco. Thank you for this. The Canadian 5. Pushan split into Hermes and Pan. Talk about the old stuff like the family books.
The first part I don't.
I don't think it splits into Hermes and Pan. I don't know if that's the case. But
no,
there might be some some parallels going on between those.
I mean, but Pushan is an Aditya, and he represents like disease healing and the life-giving properties of the sun. But I don't know how that would connect to Hermes and Pan.
Yeah. Because Pushan is solar, right?
He's a solar deity. I mean, I guess though, I mean, they're all connected to cows. I mean, I guess is Hermes or Pan connected to cows? I mean, there is an element where Pushan might have some level of connection to travel, but that might be Hermes in that sense.
Because if this is true, the psychopomp, that's definitely hermetic. I mean, is that
responsible for marriages, journeys? I guess does Hermes responsible for marriages?
Well, he's a contract deity, so yeah, he can be. I guess he would be sort of involved in that type of thing. He's transactions.
Oh, if you go down etymology,
monetary transaction. That's why Hermes carries a bag of money. Sometimes he's a monetary transaction guy, that type of thing.
If you go down to etymology, what's it say here? Cognitive pen. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't like. I would say I think there's a lot to go off. I've heard people discuss this, that the word is cognate, but it's not because it's not because Pan came from Pushan.
No,
the name means all. So the word all in Greek is cognate with this word right here. for whatever reason. I don't know what the exact reason is. You have to trace back the lineages of the words.
Yeah.
Pan's name has nothing to do with this. He's the all. He's the god of all nature. That's why he has horns and he's got hoofed legs and he's an animal. Like he looks like he's a natural god, god of all nature.
Right.
So that's that. That's why that is that. I would disagree with the idea that he came from Pushan. I would disagree with that. I don't think that's the case at all. But there might be a lot of overlap and a lot of parallels there because of the name and all that stuff.
Well, it might be. I mean, he might be closer to Apollo then.
Pushan?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, the sun. He's got the sun there.
The sun coupled. I mean, Apollo is also the protector of cattle, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
What was I going to say? Is there any traveling to do with Pushan? Traveling?
Yeah, I think he's the god of travel or journeys.
That is Hermes as well.
Yeah.
So,
it says right here, protect travelers from bandits and wild beasts. Okay.
Yeah, because you would find on the road if you were traveling through the Greek world, it was called the Greek world because it's not Greece yet, it's not unified yet.
Yeah.
But if you're traveling from Athens to to Delphi and you're taking the main road, there would be herms set up.
Yeah.
And the herms are pointing the way. They're literally protecting you so you don't get lost.
Right.
They're taking you from city to city. That's how the Greek world was connected like that. So that is true. There's a lot of overlap there. This person's not wrong about that at all. Thank you for this. Super good topic. I like that. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. We got Antiquarian. The figure on the Pashupati seal has multiple faces and is proposed to depict a proto-Shiva. However, Rudra predates Shiva and was not depicted with multiple faces as far as I can tell, yet Shiva was?
Yeah, I mean, so I think when people talk about proto-Shiva in the sense they're meaning as we understand Shiva today. So Shiva is a Rudra. So Rudra, it's like I said earlier, is a class of beings.
I'm talking about this right here, right?
Yeah. So people can't tell if it's either multiple heads or it's a headdress.
Yeah.
So, but the pose,
it's hard to tell just based on looking at this what exactly the artist was trying to do.
Yeah. So some people say it's a Rudra type or proto Shiva, because what the argument is Shiva is probably is like a Dravidian or Indus Valley god, and Rudra is a Vedic god, and so they merged at some point. Is I think the argument that people say. We just don't know enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about Shiva? What about Rudra predating Shiva?
Yeah, I mean that's the same point, right? Like Rudra is Vedic in like he's in the Rig Veda, he's not referred to as Shiva yet. He's referred to as Rudra, and so so what he would say is this figure that you see in front of you is Shiva, not Rudra. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what they're saying. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense. What is the etymology of Rudra?
To cry, or to Rud is to cry or to howl.
Oh,
so he's the howler.
Is it cognate with the word rude?
Yeah, it's also ruddy. Yeah, similar. Yeah,
ruddy too.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know about rude, but it is connected to like ruddy.
Really? Like ruddy isn't like red?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's interesting. Isn't Shiva usually, or Rudra, is it usually blue though? Or no?
No. I mean they show him today as blue, but there's various different colors connected to him.
Okay. Here's Rudra right here, I guess. So this is what they're talking about. What's the oldest depiction that we know for sure is Rudra or Shiva?
In what sense? Like
as like a statue, a depiction found on a piece of art? Actually,
it's in coins, I believe.
Coins.
It's in the coins of the Kushana Empire, who are actually Scythians.
Oh wow, the Saka.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it might have been the Saka. Yeah, it was probably. I think it was what's his name. The first,
Here's a Rudra.
he's also connected to the Scythian god Orestes.
Because look, you have a Saka ruler, and his name is Rudrama.
Yeah,
Rudradaman. So
yeah,
the
Rudraman.
A Scythian ruler who's literally a worshiper of Rudra, obviously. If that's and that
Yeah,
is this Daimon or is that something is that connected to Daimon maybe?
no,
Because that would mean
no.
spirit of Rudra.
Daman means like place or
Oh, okay. The place
yeah,
of Rudra. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, look at that text. That's super old looking Brahmin characters, right?
yeah, yeah.
Is that Rudra right there?
Let me see here.
I can't even tell. It looks like it's phased away or something.
Which one you
That
looking at?
word right here.
The
Oh,
word.
Rudra right here. Actually, Rudra Damasa.
I don't think I can see that.
You can't see it?
Oh, because I think the thing is the super chat is blocking it.
Oh, I'm gonna get rid of that for you. My bad. Oh, I'm not even on the right page. You know how sometimes you your page doesn't go with you when you click on something?
Yeah.
That's why. I'm looking at this. Rudra Dasman. That's this word right here?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Rudradhamansa.
And it's this guy.
Yeah. The Shaka ruler.
So is there
The one who's conquered by or conquered of Shiva.
Oh, and how much older can we go back to find depictions of Rudra than this?
I think there's a couple, the earliest depictions, I think, are first or second century BCE,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
This is CE. Okay. Wow, that's pretty bad. No, that's pretty cool though. That goes back pretty far, I guess. You know.
Yeah, like for example, I do think the Hindu world, Indian world borrowed some aspects of Greek iconography
And vice versa. They kind of
yeah.
they kind of borrow ideas from each other. Look at this though. The Sakas, Eastern Iranian, who lived in the European steppe, who
Yeah.
were closely related to the Scythians. Some people just say they're the same people as the Scythians. And that's why they're called Saka. They're just you know, that's what some people might have a problem with me saying that. But I know some people for sure would say it's the same shit.
Yeah.
But we're talking this region, this general region, you know. And you could even go farther. Look at this map right here. It goes all the way to the Caspian.
Yeah.
You know, Scythoid. That's a cool name. Scythoid. This is 9th to 8th century BC.
Wow. Yeah. Their movements.
Kingdom. Then you have the Royal Scythians, who are more closer to here. I'm pretty sure it might be a map on here somewhere. Anyways, Herodotus mentions them. He says there's a difference between the Royal Scythians and then the Scythians proper.
Yeah, there's so many tribes of Scythians, right? Yeah.
And then you have your Gitai over here, then your Thracians over here, and then the Greeks, Phrygians, blah blah blah. Look at that beautiful horse,
And that hair and that hat.
It's Etruscan, holy shit! But it's a depiction of a Scythian from Etruscan art, so that's pretty cool. They always have the pants on, you know what I mean? They always show the pants.
Yeah.
And Herodotus says that they worshipped Artemis Tauropolis, Artemis of the
Taurus.
Something like that, or the Taurus sacrifice, the bull sacrifice. That's what it basically is. Are you familiar with the Vedic passage where Mithra is involved and it mentions the sacrifice of a cow? I've seen it.
Not top of my head.
There's a passage in one of the Vedas. I don't know which one. There's a lot of Vedas, so that's a wide range of text. And it talks about, it mentions honoring Mithra or something with Mithra, and then it says to sacrifice a cow. And there are some people arguing that is the arguably the oldest rendition of Mithra and bull slang or cow slang in this case.
I don't know if there's a direct connection to Mithra for that. There are rituals
That's the consensus. The consensus is that the bull slang Mithra is Roman.
Yeah.
And that the Vedic Mithra doesn't have that. But there's a couple people who argue there's this one passage in the Veda that mentions a cow. So it's like we're not, it's not a bull. That's not, a cow and a bull are not the same thing.
Yeah, but in Vedic one, you don't kill a cow, you kill the bull.
So I think that's what they say. I think that's what their argument was.
Yeah.
Argument was that this was actually the oldest Mithra bull slang. I'll have to send it to you after this is over and see what you think about it.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting stuff. But anyways, okay, we got that one out the way, and there's a few more actually. Are there any connections? By the way, thank you guys all for these great super chats. You guys are awesome. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Let me just make sure. All right, is there any connections between puja and the Egyptian temple magic? Dressing and bathing statues, the opening of the mouth and the eye ceremonies. Good question.
Yeah, I mean, puja definitely. So I think puja is more something we do in the house, individual, but there are temple practices with the temple deity that are very similar to this, where there's dressing and bathing and on birthdays, feeding and all that stuff. It's not like the god actually has these birthdays and stuff. It's a way for human beings to connect with the deities and to feel a different type of relationship, either like familial, parent, child, parent, friend. I mean, yes. So there's very much, I think, I don't know if there's connections between the two, but they have similar things they do. Yeah. I don't know enough about the temple magic in Egypt, so I really can't say.
Well, I could say for sure that what he's saying in the Hellenistic period is a big deal of actually like taking care and dressing and bathing and bringing them out for certain holy days.
Yeah,
was a huge part of Egyptian culture.
So if you've been in the U.S., the chariot festival that the ISKCON or Hare Krishna people do, or like in Venice Beach, they're like pulling a chariot, like a massive. So the term juggernaut, the term juggernaut.
Yeah.
So that comes from the word Jagannath, Lord of the universe, and it comes from that because in Odisha, every year they put the god onto a big, massive chariot and they pull it, right, and it's like you can't stop it when it's moving. So that term juggernaut came from Jagannath, yeah. So yes, it happens all the time.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for that. Good question too. Good point. Good point. Let's see. We got Ride Tillich. Thank you for the $7.99. Yo guys, what does Hindu believers think of Islam as a religion?
I mean, probably no different than Christians as religion. Christianity.
It's history. A lot of history between the two, right?
Yeah, I mean, and look, I think I enjoy the intellectual philosophy of Islam, and there's elements there. I think it's interesting. What I will say is, both Islam and Christianity, their philosophies and theologies are external to their own religion. They come from their Greeks. They don't develop as an internal tradition, which I actually find very fascinating. That you don't have theology coming out of the Bible per se, straight out of the Bible, or philosophy out of the Bible. So but I think Hindus generally view Islam as another religion. They might have issues with how Islam has been in India, but yeah.
Someone made a good point. They were talking about Islam versus Christianity, like which one was more ruthless. And I think people can get the false impression that Islam is way worse because of modern times, and there might be some truth to that. But in the Middle Ages, I would disagree.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Because, and the reason the point the person made was how much Islam was able to encroach into India versus how much Christianity was willing to encroach into Europe. They both had pretty good strongholds on both those places, but yet look at India. There's still thriving Hindu communities with their old religions, their old gods, the old temples are still running. And look at Europe. There's no, they Christianity completely devours all of Europe.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that, right? Like, one, the Roman world, the religion of the Rome was connected to the state. So you destroy the state, you kind of destroy much of the religion. And then, but Hinduism was never centralized that way. It was just too disparate. And so coming into one place, you take down a kingdom.
But that's
so
how the old pagans were.
Yeah.
So you would think you would see something similar. You would think you would see some sort of thriving, disparate communities of pagans still in Europe, but you don't, and it's because of how harsh Christians were in the medieval period on Europe, versus the Islam being way more laid back towards Hindus. Maybe not. I mean, towards modern era, it gets a little more intense. Maybe depending on what time period and who we're talking about, things change. But there's a reason why Hinduism survives and paganism in the West doesn't.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons. I think also it's like the kingdoms fought back with each other. They pushed back against the Islamic invasion pretty strongly, and they did see that as existential in some sense.
Yeah.
And yeah. So and then once you take over a kingdom, you're like, what are you gonna do with all these people? I mean, I guess you could try to kill them, but that didn't happen. So
yeah, you want your subjects to be happy to an extent, to pay taxes to you. Yeah. You don't want them to hate you. You don't want them to rebel against you. So there's a lot of political stuff involved there too. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, thank you for that super chat. We got this one. Martyrs. How did both Indra and Shiva both get associated with Soma? Isn't Shiva the burning pillar of fire? Does Shivasta, the holy day, have any ancient roots?
So Soma is associated with Indra because there's two Somas here. One, there's a Soma as the drink and Soma as the moon, and they're connected to each other. So Indra drinks Soma, the drink, which is, whatever a concoction it is, that empowers him to fight, and that's the same rite that the Soma Yagya, or the sacrifice of Soma, occurs. But Soma also, because it's a herb, right? The moon's connected to herbs, and Shiva is a Rudra, is also connected to herbs. He is considered outside the Vedic fold in the ritual sense. The ritual itself is what the ritual is. Shiva sits outside the ritual, but you have to appropriate him in order to keep the bad out. So he's the outer darkness that protects the inner ritual. And as long as you give him his due, he stays away. He's connected to the outside the village or town, like the forest, the hills, the mountains, where you find roots and plants and things you need for healing. So Soma is a plant in which you get that energy or power, and then the god is associated with that too. So that's how Shiva, Indra are connected to Soma.
Wow, that's very interesting. Is Shiva have fire at? Because isn't that Agni? That's more of the related to
no. So Shiva is connected to Agni too. So this is interesting because Shiva, as the howler, as Rudra, is representative of a storm and the lightning, and that is. So there's three fires that they would say. There's the fire on the ground, fire in the sky is lightning, and the fire of the sun. So Agni is all three fires in some sense. And so Shiva is connected to the middle fire, right, which is the lightning. And his burning pillar is a story told in the Puranas about his, what they would call the Akshaya Linga, which is the eternal pillar. That is flaming and there's no beginning or end to it. So it's like the ultimate eternal like manifestation of his power as being endless.
Wow. I like that. That's interesting stuff right there. Thank you for that. Super good question. Dylan Warner with with $2. Thank you very much, Dylan. Prajapati's seed spilling parallel Seth and Horus? I would say so. I don't know. I don't know.
No, Prajapati's seed spilling creates beings. Is that what happens with Seth and Horus?
Not beings, no. But maybe it's just the act of it. I don't know. Maybe they're just talking about the actual story itself, not like what the result is.
Yeah, I mean, Prajapati is the generator of beings. That's why it's called Praja, means beings, like all beings, and then Pati is Lord. So he's the Lord of all beings, the generator of them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there might be something there. I don't know. I've been a while since I've looked at the whole Seth and Horus thing going on there with the.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that.
There might be something there, though. There might be something. This person might have know more than I do, actually. Interesting thought, though. Thank you, Dylan. Kerpes Trisergasmus Excalibur. Hey,
Nice.
Neil, do you get into theology of the Reformation and the 30 Years' Wars? Interesting. Also, Mel Gibson is making a series about the Siege of Malta. That should be interesting, too. The Siege of Malta is a very fascinating crusade story. 30 Years' War stuff. That's like Holy Roman Empire, Habsburg, Catholic versus Protestant war that I don't know much about because I'm actually working my way slowly through history. I'm now just getting into the Middle Ages and I'm learning about the Lombards, reading the history of the Lombards, Paul the Deacon and those guys. And I'm trying to work my way up until the Franks and then Charlemagne. And then eventually, maybe one day, get my way up until the period that he's talking about. Let's see, when was the 30 Years' War? I think it's 17th century. Let's see. Yeah, 1618 to 1648. And let's see, let's pull this up. That's since you dropped a nice $5, I might as well give you a couple seconds here. 30 Years' War in Central Europe between 17th century mostly. One of the most destructive conflicts in European history. Holy shit. That 4.5 to 8 million soldiers died. And I keep hearing this. Christianity united Europe, guys. It united Europe. What?
Well, it did after everyone died.
Yeah. 8 million people died because one person thought that you shouldn't worship Mary. No, I'm just kidding. It was more political than that.
Right.
Let's be honest.
A lot of times religion is like a way to get everyone riled up. Yeah.
It's a secondary, yeah. But really, what it's really about is these Habsburgs, and they're trying to have a monarchy, and these lords are like, hell no, we don't want to give you shit. That's really what it is. That's what these wars are really over.
Yeah.
But as you can see, as a result, 100. Oh, this one doesn't say million. Well, I guess if you count it all, okay, cool. That's crazy.
Civilian deaths, yeah.
Yes, civilian deaths. Holy shit. But you could see Holy Roman Empire, and then these sort of anti-Habsburg alliance, Bohemia, Sweden, Dutch. Damn. This is great history, though. This is really at some point in my life, I do want to do some deep dives into the 17. Like I do. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't know nothing about this. I do know a little bit about in France, like in the 18th century France, when it comes to like Napoleon, and I guess that's late 18th, early 19th century. It's a little bit later. But yeah, I do want to eventually work my way up to this period of time and learn about this stuff eventually. So, but I'm just being honest, I don't know much about it. So maybe someday I'll get there. But this period in time is really fascinating too. It's not talked about a lot. Is the Goths and how they control the West, and then how they fall to the Lombards, and it's a whole it's cool stuff. 6th to 7th century AD, that period. Anyways, thank you for that super chat. Ride Tillich, thank you for the 799. So was religion part of the reason why India, Pakistan split, or was it something else?
Yeah, I think it was political, but religion was the basis where the certain groups of Islamic people thought that being Islamic was the core of who they were, and they wanted to have their own nation. Pakistan means pure land, so they wanted a pure land for Islam.
And isn't there still a lot of conflict between Pakistan and
India?
India? Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm not that, I don't follow India, Pakistan that much.
Okay, yeah, because I remember, I want to say a year ago, there was something that happened between the two. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but
Yeah, there were some border issues, I'm sure.
yeah, something like that. That is the last super chat for the night right now. I just want to make sure I give you people some promotion on your channel, dude.
Yeah,
There's us right there.
there we are. We're live.
Yeah, so I've been on here before, and I'll be on there again sometime.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Some
check
good.
it out. You're on Twitter too, right?
Yeah.
Let me just drop this link in the chat right now so people can go and check that out. I'll put it in the description so I don't forget. Put that in the description. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, man, it was a good conversation. I thought this was we covered a lot, though.
You did cover a lot of ground. Started off in the Stone Age and worked our way up.
That's
It's been a
right.
30 years war.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so many different topics, but no, that's what super chats. That's why the audience wants to take control. Sometimes it's kind of fun,
Yeah. At some point, I want to do something on this, Joel Schmidt's conversion. I think that's interesting stuff, but
Yeah, that'll be fun. That's it for now. And
Yeah.
You have just attained true gnosis.
You have just attained true gnosis. The demiurge has no power over